All right. Hello. I'm assuming everything's working again. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty there with the last start, but seemed to fix it. Unless somebody wants to tell me otherwise, and the stream starts fucking up, then by all means tell me. But anyway, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you are watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk about news, politics, and current events. So, I'm gonna start out with a little bit of personal news in that not feeling 100% today, feeling a bit under the weather. I'm assuming that's from kind of the holidays and gathering around family and friends, which tends to lead to colds and stuff spreading around the family, but that's okay. I will carry on and survive. A fairly quiet news weekend this weekend. Gonna be using the water a lot today, but fairly quiet news weekend this weekend. Kind of had one big story we're gonna kind of go over. We're gonna start out with some election and voting stuff, and then I saw a headline that popped up about see if I can find their name really quickly. An individual named Randy Cox. I suppose he was taken into custody, and apparently something happened to him. So we're going to kind of read, learn, and go over that. I just thought caught my eye when I was kind of setting up for the show. And then, and then the big one's going to be, if you saw in the title, Nick Fuentes, somebody who I know a bit about, but I haven't really heard like a million of his takes. I just know kind of what people, I know him more through what people say about him than I think his actual than me actually hearing him say what he says. But either way, yeah. How's everyone's weekend? I'm assuming everyone got like a nice little bit of a long weekend there. If you're in Colorado, we're gonna be getting hit by some snow tomorrow, so that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a cold one, but yeah, let's get into it. Oh, also, public service announcement for anybody who likes movies or goes to see movies ever. If you work in the service sector at all, go watch The Menu. It's rather cathartic. It's my public service announcement and my one media take for today. But anyway, with no more setup, no more hesitation, let's just roll into it. My head's a bit cloudy today, if you also can't tell. But yeah. Anyway, let's get going. So, early voting has begun in Georgia. Georgia, for the second time again in an election now, we're going to be having a runoff. So, Georgia early voting is going to be starting. I believe the actual voting day is going to be December 6th. This article will let me know if I'm incorrect. But yeah, so far, I just kind of want to read a little bit the same. All right. Early voting in Georgia's Senate runoff race between Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock and Republican opponent Herschel Walker opened statewide to all registered voters on Monday, following record-breaking turnout this weekend in the 34 counties that offered early voting on Saturday or Sunday. Voting locations for the December 6th runoff are now open in all 159 of the state's counties through Friday, with more than 181,000 Georgians having cast their ballots either in person or absentee through Sunday, according to state election data. For those, more than 166,000 people have voted early in person. Black Georgians are outpacing other demographic groups, according to the data, with 46.3% of the total turnout as of Sunday. That is 8 points above the white voters' share of total turnout so far, though white people make up nearly double the share of the overall state population. Among various age groups, the highest turnout through Sunday was the 55 to 60-year-olds, followed very close to the 60 to 65, 50 to 55, 65 to 70, and 18 to 24. So, before we get super far into this, I want to say, where are my young people at in Georgia? I know y'all know that there's a runoff. Don't think I don't know that I know you know there's a runoff. This is, I think if there's anything that really disheartens me a lot of when talking about politics, when talking about electoralism specifically, is always seeing the overwhelming numbers of voters above the age of 50. I understand that most young people, I think, are in a position where voting just feels kind of useless. Voting just feels kind of an exercise in screaming at a wall. But if you live in Georgia, you should be going out and you should be voting, especially if you're under the age of 40. Should 200% be out there and voting. Fuck. Go ballot harvesting for all I care. Do something, but go out and vote. While total numbers weren't yet available for Monday, as voting continues, state officials said the daily turnout was on track to grow even higher, an indication that local interest in the race was not waned. This could be the biggest early voting day ever in Georgia's election history. Turnout so far is blowing doors. This is outpacing the turnout from the last day of early voting in the general election, he wrote on Monday. Well, that's good. After Georgia saw unprecedented early voting ahead of the 2022 midterms earlier this month, Sunday's turnout was 130% higher than the previous Sunday record of 37,785, set on October 25th, 2020. Early voting, where the runoff began last Tuesday. Counties. Okay. Long wait times not deterring voters. Yeah, this is bullshit. So, when we talk about voting, when we talk about, this is a really good shot. I like the shot. Look at this. It's in the trees and stuff. But when we talk about voting, especially in states that are controlled by Republican representatives, an issue that we tend to see is these kind of very discouraging wait times and these discouraging lines. So, if you're an average voter, if you're like, if you're an average, you're like a line cook. You want to vote, but you got to go into work also. You figure on your way in, you might stop and vote. You figure, oh, maybe I'll just wake up a little bit early, go in, go vote, and then head into work or whatever. When you come and see this kind of line, like this is a pretty long line, and it doesn't take like 2 seconds for people to vote. Voting takes like a good maybe like 5 to 7 minutes to like click through and pick all of your choices and everything. So understand this line right here, they probably won't get to the end of that line for 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Maybe looking at this, you're probably waiting about 30 minutes to an hour. And not everybody, especially in the working class, has the amount of time to spare 30 minutes to an hour to go stand outside and, by the way, whatever weather might be going on. But also there's a lot of things people need to be doing with their days. Unfortunately, living not just paycheck to paycheck, but like working for a living really requires you to get enough sleep, to make sure you're taking care of your house chores and house duties and stuff like that, along with if you're planning dinner, if you're doing any number of things. So fitting in voting as like a one more thing that you have to squeeze into an already squeezed schedule, this is how you kind of, not by a vast number, but you don't need to do it by a vast number, but by how you kind of squeeze just a little bit of the population out of voting and out of participating in elections. And we've seen a lot of, historically at least, that the lower the turnout, or I should say the higher the turnout, the better Democrats do. So, it's certainly a, that's what I'm looking for. It is a testament to the people of Georgia's will that they sit through all these long lines. There were probably, polling locations that got closed in certain areas. We won't say which. And have to endure kind of unreasonably long waits for them to cast their ballot in the democracy that they live in. At least personally, I support early voting and no ID voting, because at the end of the day, as long as you can verify the person's coming in who they are, then you're fine, and the government's already able to do that. So good for that. I'm glad turnout is high. That only bodes well for Democrats. So happy to see that. We'll kind of keep an eye. I think it said is the 6th, which means next Tuesday will be actual election day. So we'll probably be covering some of the results at least up until that point. Usually, since I'm over here, I don't start stream until about 7:30. Polls will close. I think they usually close at 7. So they'll already be about 2 hours into counting. So we'll get a good idea next Tuesday as to where that race is headed. But that is encouraging, if nothing else. That's always good. So, sticking on the topic, bring me back for a second. Sticking to the topic of elections, if you've been kind of paying attention to the Supreme Court docket at all, or I'm sure you've heard a little bit, Moore v. Harper is going to be coming to a head sometime mid-December, where the Supreme Court is going to basically hear whether the state representative, or the state legislator, again, head cloudy, is basically able to decide their elections. So I kind of need to do a little bit more reading as to the perfect language of it. But essentially what will be happening is state legislators currently send their, what's the word I'm looking for? Electors to certify votes. And basically the argument is going to be made to the Supreme Court that the legislators should have the full power to decide the electors that they're sending regardless of what votes are, whatever. States run their elections federally. So basically, it would be arguing that the legislators get to choose that. So if you live in a state that, let's say, Biden is victorious. Let's take the last. If you live in state, Kansas, you live in Kansas. Biden has won the popular vote, has won the small state electoral college. It is now the state legislator's job to send the electors to DC to certify the election, right? But there is an argument that there should be no oversight of the people that they're sending, of the process. So, like I said, we'll kind of go over it as we get a little bit closer. And as we hear oral arguments, we'll take a look at those. But essentially, it would hamper the federal government's ability to actually follow and certify the people's actual votes. So either way, the reason why I mentioned that is we are 3 weeks out and of the midterm elections, and it appears that Arizona has not certified their election. Now, the process of certifying an election shouldn't be hard. You have the numbers, you have the results, and that's kind of it. But what a lot of Republicans, and that this goes back to the independent state legislator argument, is mainly that we're seeing GOP voters and poll watchers and shit like that and organizations moving into kind of muddle with the water. So let's take a look. I wanna read a little bit because this seemed interesting. So, tell you, sucks having a mild cold. Luckily, I already took medicine, so I should be fine for tomorrow. But we'll find out. All right, as elected officials in Arizona's most populous county met to approve the midterm election results Monday, they were heckled, called traitors, and told that their handling of voting justified a violent revolution. Sheriff's deputies stood guard in Maricopa County over what used to be a humdrum procedural move. So the certification of elections is not really anything other than procedural. Basically, when you're certifying, you're just like it's basically you're handing off the vote counts to elected representatives who then look at them and go, yep, 5 is more than 4. We're done. But again, it seems like that's not enough for some people. It kind of seems like some people are a bit perturbed by that outcome. In the opposite corner of the state, leaders of another GOP-controlled county contemplated doing the same and adjourned until the afternoon to consider its options, but ultimately voted to certify the results. So yeah. So understand, each county has to certify their elections, which basically means each county is like confirming like their results. And if you don't like vote to confirm your results, the entire election is kind of left in this weird legal limbo, which again, this is what the Supreme Court is going to be hearing later, is essentially if a county, if a state, if a jurisdiction or whatever is not willing to confirm their election results, usually the federal government would have enough power to come in and say, hey, you can't. These are the counts. We're not dealing with this. But the independent state legislator theory kind of throws a wrench into that, in which is to say that like those localities get the right to pick their the people that they send, and the people that they send might just walk in and be like, yeah, I confirm that Trump won, even though they might say, but your numbers say the opposite. They'll go, well, that's fine, but I say it's Trump who won. So, and yeah, I mean, it would pretty much undermine every tenet of our democracy. But anyway, in Arizona, where problems with ballot printer ink at about a third of Phoenix area polling places have fueled unproven GOP claims of a stolen election. Also, whoever let that happen, Jesus Christ, good job. Okay. Have fueled Monday's event showcased the depths of distrust in election administration in the state, as well as a willingness of Republican candidates and elected officials to sanction, even stoke, that distrust. Yeah. I mean, look, they're the Republican Party at the end of the day. Their goal is to gain power, and that's it. Unfortunately, Democrats, especially very liberal Democrats, their job is to keep the system rolling exactly how it's always been rolling, which, if you've ever played tug of war on a team that wants to stand still, you notice how often you tend to lose, but anyway, the latest election has intensified skepticism of the democratic process in Arizona, already a hotbed of the election denialism fomented by former President Donald Trump over several years and sustained by his supporters. Earlier this month, voters chose Democrats over Republicans in the most critical contests, the Attorney General race, in which the Democrat led by 510 votes and more than 2.5 million casts, was headed to an automatic recount. So this is also going to be the strategy going forward for a certain wing of the Republican Party, but also this is the strategy that the Trump campaign has kind of put all of their chips in, because with him running again, he's already announced that he's running again. You have to kind of remember how close the last election was. So, as much as Biden did win, and he got quite a few more votes than Trump, I believe 7 million more, the way our system works is through the Electoral College, which is bullshit. But the issue with the Electoral College is all Trump needed to do was win maybe 1-2 more states, or at least shave off just enough of 1 or 2 states to end up clinching victory. So this strategy that they've picked over the last, and it'll end up being about like a 4-year strategy in Arizona, will throw Arizona, I would predict, in 2024 into flux, because you have 4 years and a midterm election with some, pretty minor, a fucking printer ink problem. But because of that problem, and because of the way they've been stoking and kind of, prepping their voters and their followers to suspect foul play at any immediate, even the smallest discrepancy, because they've done that, Arizona is going to end up being a serious state to watch come 2024. The amount of distrust that's going to happen, the amount of election denialism that's going to be happening, it already happens as it is now. But you have to figure, with Trump at the forefront, his voters, his audience is already going to be primed and ready to, and they're already justifying, just based on this midterm, violent revolution. Now, if they'll do it, I'm a bit skeptical. It seems like Republicans say violent revolution a lot and don't really seem interested in backing it up. But, at the end of the day, this strategy is going to result in more people being nervous about voting, because more crazies are going to come out for a large presidential ticket. And also, there's just going to be so much more, so much more tomfoolery going on come election day 2024. This might pay off. Most people in Arizona, it seems like, considering they booted all the Republicans out of power for the most part, at least in all the executive branches, They don't seem to favor these election deniers or anything. But if you have enough people who are planted within the system, and if there's enough people, you have to think the normal person who just votes for a Democratic candidate, or the normal person who doesn't vote for Trump, they go out, they vote, they go home, they don't think of, maybe they'll watch the results, but they're on to watching football or whatever else. These Trump guys, these much more of the crazier wing of the conservative Republican Party, they're going to be watching everything like a hawk, and they're going to be looking for their opportunity. Their one thing to seize to basically delegitimize any Arizonan election so that they can run it again. And hopefully this time, not as many people show up. Not as many people are going to show up for a special election second time around. So we need to keep an eye out for that. Oh my goodness. But anyway, under Arizona law, Monday was the deadline for all counties to complete the process known as canvassing the election, and Republican activists pressured county leaders not to do so. In 14 of Arizona's 15 counties, top leaders followed the law and approved the election results. The exception was Cochise County, where the Board of Supervisors is now locked in a legal fight with the state. There is no precedent for the resulting uncertainty of the state's process of finalizing the results and ensuring that successful candidates are seated in January. So this is also the thing. Because there's no precedent for a lot of this stuff, it kind of just means the entire process is on pause. Nobody knows who's going in. They can't move forward because technically the way the laws are written, they can't move forward, even though everyone kind of knows, who won the elections, who didn't. But again, this is all kind of part of that strategy of all right, we just need to muddy the waters enough to either activate a full re-election, redo the election, which almost never will happen, or they'll just brute force it and force their own operatives into the room, and next thing you know, your state voted majority Democrat, and you have minority Democrats. It happens in a lot of southern states as well due to gerrymandering, where Democrats will win majorities in the House, in those state houses, but actually be seated as a minority party. So, oh my goodness, sorry guys. We broke. I told you, man, head cloudy, and I do kind of have to cough a little bit. We broke the law by not certifying as required by Arizona statutes on elections by November 8th, said Ann English, the lone Democratic supervisor of Cochise, I'm assuming it's Cochise, who dissented from the vote to table consideration of certification until Friday. The two Republican supervisors who backed the delay did not respond to requests for comment. The county's attorney also did not respond. We broke the law. Oh, she's saying we broke the law by not doing our jobs. Right, okay. Republican leaders in Mojave County, located in the northwest corner of the state, considered doing the same, but ultimately followed the law, albeit reluctantly. Yeah, and if you're the person who decides that sort of stuff, if you believe in democracy, then you shouldn't be reluctantly doing anything. The law says you certify it, you certify it. I vote aye under duress, said Republican Chairman Ron Gold. I found out today that I have no choice but to vote aye, and I'll be arrested and charged with a felony. Well, yeah, that's what happens. I don't know why you're being a little bitch boy crybaby. Yeah, that's kind of your job. I want everyone to kind of no Democrats have a hat like this. There isn't a single Democrat in this entire country who has a hat like this. There's just, the appeal of the Democratic Party is not to people who are interested in politics. The appeal of normie Democrats like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and a lot of the establishment wing is people who don't pay attention to any of this stuff, which isn't good. Their voter base is incredibly weak. It's why, and it's why progressives need to get a lot better at at talking about this stuff and about kind of moving to the forefront. Why are you playing? Stop playing. Arizona wasn't the only state that saw scattered efforts to thwart approval of election results. Officials in Pennsylvania's Luzerne County, which experienced a shortage of ballot paper on election day, failed by a 2-2 vote with one abstention, coward, to meet the Monday deadline for certification. So yeah, like the way, like certification as a process in this country is, I mean, I'm not like an election, what's the word? I'm not like an election expert or anything, but it seems like certification is kind of a useless process and something that I feel like we should probably be pushing for kind of an end of, because there's almost no reason that anybody should be interested. Like you do not need a certification process to like know the results of an election. It just seems extraneous. Cochise County's decision to blow past the certification deadline drew a lawsuit in the same day from Arizona Secretary of State Katie Hobbs, who was projected to win her race for governor. Her office planned to ask the court to compel the county to certify the election results. If the county refuses to do so, it throws into question the votes of tens of thousands of people and possibly the projected victories of Republicans in the U.S. House seat in the statewide race for school superintendent. Yeah, so essentially, they're asking the courts to be like, hey, you need to tell them by law they need to do this. And again, I keep going back to this, but this is basically what the independent state legislature argument is going to be, which is, the decision is going to be if the federal government and the Supreme Court in this case can compel states to certify in a way, like, and oversee that election, or if the election results are completely up to the state, which means, again, they can either confirm the actual correct voting decision, or if they would like to pick the non-correct one, they could also do that. It's this process that might end up costing us our democracy, and it's fucking ludicrous, is what it is, honestly. Arizona officials had planned to certify the state's election results on December 5th. Under state law, they can postpone certification until December 8th. Attorneys said if Cochise County continues to withhold certification, it's unclear how votes recorded there will factor into the state's tally. Oh, God. Saved you guys from that one. Okay. Arizona. Meanwhile, Attorney General Mark Brnovich. I think it's Brnovich. Brnovich has not indicated publicly how he will handle the looming deadline for the state to certify the results. Also, like, let's just think about this. Like, you don't have like your election, like, your election results. Everyone knows your election results. They've been reported. Everybody knows how many people voted for who, but for whatever reason, the person you voted for isn't even in power yet, and they legally cannot take power yet because there's like a hold up from the opposing sides, lawyers saying that we didn't certify, so you cannot sit in your chair. Then what do you do? And that's the big holdup. Is it's like, then what do you do when you have like this sort of bullshit going on? It's like, all right, so what do we, like, what, we just go without a senator? We just go without a governor for however long? So let's see. Oh, Carrie Lake is, of course. Carrie Lake, the unsuccessful GOP nominee for governor, has refused to concede, pointing to problems with printers in Maricopa County that require voters to wait in line. Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie Lake. Do you have something against voters waiting in unreasonably long lines? That's a new one for Republicans. County officials in the Sunday report responding to the Attorney General's office accusations of possible statutory violations maintained that the mechanical glitches didn't block anyone from voting And an Arizona judge came to the same conclusion in denying a request from Republicans to extend voting hours on election day. Lake of Fort, Carrie Lake's not in that case. Save Arizona. Oh, Jesus. The vote capped a remarkable 5-hour meeting in which the large crowd gathered in the hearing room to pray, as well as to taunt the county officials. You guys represent evil. Quote, you guys represent evil. One speaker told the county leaders. In public testimony, residents shared their experiences on Election Day, some as voters and some as poll workers. Vitriol. Yeah. So let's be like really clear about this. Republicans on the state level have begun to chip away at any kind of small, minute procedural advantage that they can get themselves. At the end of the day, their goal right now is to win, regardless of what, again, we already know who voted. We already know how many voted. It's been reported. We know all of this stuff. But in the wake of the knowledge of their loss, they are still trying to block the actual winner from receiving their just position. So when we talk about anti-democratic sentiment in the Republican Party, this is what we're talking about. And Republicans, as they do about the person we're going to talk about in just a little bit, they will attempt to separate and remove themselves from this crowd. This is their base. As much as Republicans would love to go back to the Reagan era Republican voter, unfortunately, they have molded this voter into a type of person that is conspiratorial, that is non-objective, and someone who is power hungry. Because of the Republican Party's dogged pursuit of power, their voters only know how to lobby for more power. And unfortunately, when your goal is power in politics, there are a lot of things you're going to be willing to do to hold that power. You will justify it any way you can. It's why they justify violence towards the LGBT community, because they believe they've fooled themselves into thinking they're helping or saving children or whatever it is. This week it's the kids, next week it'll be Lord knows what. But their voters have already fooled themselves into thinking they're the righteous minority. So, and this is what they get. They get election deniers. They get people who have no interest in democracy. Democracy is not interesting to them. Democracy is just branding. Same way freedom is just branding to them. But anyway, all right. I'm going to take a quick break, drink some water, probably cough once or twice, and then we'll be back. So let's see, what do we want? Let's do the I'm thinking the Catherine song, the song from Catherine. So let's do that one. Be back in a sec, guys. love that. Fucking love that song. Welcome back, everybody. So, next, we're going to take a look at a article that I just randomly saw the headline for. I thought it was kind of interesting. And, we haven't really talked a lot about police on this channel that much. So I figured this would be a kind of good opportunity. Do a little bit of reading. Do a little bit of divulging on cop stuff. So let's take a look, see, shall we? All right. 5 officers charged after black man paralyzed in police van. I can already hear the people being like, why is it going to be a black guy? Why can't they just say man? It's like, well, why does it matter? Like, okay. And if it, like, I don't see a problem with adding that he's black. Anyway, New Haven, Connecticut. 5 Connecticut police officers were charged Monday with cruelly neglecting a black man after he was partially paralyzed in the back of a police van despite his desperate pleas for help. Randy Cox, 36, was being driven to a New Haven police station June 19th for processing on a weapons charge when the driver braked hard at an intersection to avoid a collision, causing Cox to fly head first into a metal partition in the van. Jesus. I can't move. I'm going to die like this. Please, 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 please help me. Cox said minutes after the crash. As Cox pleaded for help, some of the officers at the detention center mocked him and accused him of being drunk and faking his injuries, according to dialogue captured by surveillance and body-worn camera footage. Wow, that's pretty good. Is this a video? No. Nope. That's a picture. Stop it. Okay. Jeez, yeah. The other... whoops. Where was I? Officers dragged Cox by his feet from the van and placed him in a holding cell prior to his eventual transfer. Jesus. Okay, so, like, I'm not sure how like, aware people are of, like, spinal injuries and shit, but this is not how you transport somebody who might have just gotten a like spine or neck injury. Usually you want to like support their neck to make sure that no extra damage is done. Clearly that didn't happen. They just kind of pulled him out like a fucking loose leaf sheet of paper out of printer. Yeah, this is the picture of bad policing. Shouldn't shock too many people. I think I cracked my neck. He probably did. You didn't crack it. No, you drank too much. Sit up. Said Sergeant Betsy Seguin, one of the 5 officers charged. Cox was later found to have a fractured neck and was paralyzed. Jesus. The 5 New Haven police officers were charged with second-degree reckless endangerment and cruelty, both misdemeanors. The others charged were Officer Oscar Diaz, Officer Ronald Presley, Officer Jocelyn Lavendier, and Officer Luis Rivera. All have been on administrative leave since last summer. Jeez. That's got to be nice. Administrative leave. Fuck. Messages seeking comment were sent to attorneys for the officers. Though each officer faces the same charges, some seem to take Cox's pleas more seriously than others. Diaz, who drove the transport van, pulled over after Cox complained of his injury, spoke to him, and requested that an ambulance meet them at the detention center. However, Diaz did not render medical attention to Cox as he lay face down on the floor. Wait, this dude is like face down on the floor and you're just like kind of like, hey, you're good? Like, okay, here, we'll have an ambulance meet us there. Meanwhile, you're like planking on the fucking ground. Like, Jesus. The officers turned themselves in at the state police barracks Monday. Each was processed, posting a $25,000 bond and are due back in court December 8th, according to a news release from state police. New Haven's police chief, speaking to reporters Monday, along with the city's mayor, said it was important for the department to be transparent and accountable. You can make mistakes, but you can't treat people poorly, period. You cannot treat people the way Mr. Cox was treated. The case has drawn outrage, civil rights advocates. This is the NAACP, makes sense. It is important when you see that video of how they treated Randy Cox and the actions and inactions that led to him being paralyzed from his chest down. Jesus, that those police officers should be held to the full extent of the law. Cox was arrested June 19th after police said they found him in possession of a handgun at a block party. The charges against him were later dropped. What? Wait a minute. Okay. Wait, no way. No fucking way. No way. Randy. No, not Randy Couture. Let's go charges. New Haven criminal charges. No way. Really? A man partially okay. So the thing that I am like mostly shocked by. Wait, do they have video of this? Hold up. Okay, hold up 1 second. Okay, I want to see something. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, this guy got charged with possession of a firearm, which, by the way, Second Amendment, whoop whoop. And was never convicted of anything. So he didn't even break the law. Okay, wait. No way. Don't tell. Okay. Partially paralyzed while being transported in a police van in New Haven, Connecticut, his family says. Oh, shit. No, that's I'm not. No, stop. What are you doing? I just want to lower the volume, you stupid video player. God, CNN, CNN, what are you doing? Get a better video player. What is this? What is this trash? Okay. Christ above. Yeah. So, video of his arrest shows Cox getting into a police transfer van that had long bench but no seat when the driver... Wait, this dude is in normal clothes. I thought he was in a yellow jumpsuit. That's his normal clothes. Oh, shit. This entire time I saw the orange and I was like, oh, okay, he must have been processed and at the very least they were awaiting trial or something. But no, this happened when this dude was fucking arrested? Ran a video getting into a police transport, a long bench, but no seatbelts. When the driver makes an abrupt stop, handcuff slides. He's now No. Yeah, no shit. Jesus. Oh, man. Oh. Yeah, dude's fucking.
Watch your head.
Watch your head, all right? Yeah, I saw the fucking orange. I thought, oh no. Oh, I'm not gonna lie. These cops should dude, no. They need more than misdemeanors. They just fucking arrested a random guy. For whatever reason, they just paralyze him. They're gonna throw him back out in the world. Oh man, holy shit. Fuck.
Yo.
Accused? CNN, Jesus by the grace. I fucking hate your video player. No, stop it. I don't want to watch that again. I just want the text. Give me, jeez.
Watch your head.
Cox was arrested at a block party. Oh my god. I hate these fucking video players, guys. They're the fucking worst. accused of illegally possessing a firearm. Body cam footage shows cock handcuffed and put in the transport van with no seatbelts.
Yeah, that's his stuff, Harp? Yep. That's his stuff, his wallet, keys and stuff?
I'll turn that down a bit. The officer continued driving for 3.5 minutes after the abrupt stop. Yeah, dude probably can't breathe because his fucking body is like... Oh my god. Okay.
I can't open the door without another officer here.
Dude, the guy is fucking paralyzed. Oh my god.
What happened?
What do you mean? There's no fucking...
How you leave this all the way up there? Alright, I can't move you, so I have to... Hold on, I'm gonna have to go get an ambulance. The subject in the van, he said he fell inside the van.
Stop. I'm just requesting an ambulance to be sent. I mean, shit, at least he fucking did something, but... Christ, that's like nowhere near enough.
I'm coming for you, alright? Just give me 1 second. I'm taking you there right now.
Jesus. Oh, wow. I didn't think I'd actually find video of that. That was fucking brutal. So, okay. Give me like a second here. So, yeah, those officers should probably be losing their jobs. Most likely. I would also argue that any of them who didn't take any of that seriously, the guy who was like, I'll call an ambulance, you can give him a lesser sentence. Everybody else, they should be paying for every surgery, every bit of rehab, every bit of, because the state just paralyzed that guy. Like, he now is not going to be able to work. He's not going to be able to fucking eat food like a normal person anymore. Like, the state just paralyzed that guy. So, Jesus Christ. Attorney, let's see. The case was drawn outrage. Yeah, no shit. It's important when you see the video they treated. Jesus, yeah. Cox was arrested June 19th. Cox's family filed a federal lawsuit against the city of New Haven and the five officers in September. The lawsuit alleges negligence, exceeding the speed limit, and failure to have proper restraints in the police van. Fuck, even, like... fuck speed limit part. Like... Sorry, guys. Like, fuck the speed limit part. Fuck's sake, like the negligence would just be enough for me. Four of the officers filed motions last week claiming qualified immunity from the lawsuit, arguing that their actions in that case did not violate any clearly established legal standard. I don't know. What about the legal standard of not paralyzing somebody? I like, here's the problem with qualified immunity. Here is the clear problem with qualified immunity. All right, it's not complicated. It's very simple. It's just that it shouldn't exist, because what qualified immunity essentially does is give officers the ability to not be held accountable by the communities that they police. That's it. Officers of the law should be as accountable as anybody else in any other job. There is no reason why qualified immunity should exist. Zero. No justification whatsoever. If you believe that all people should be held under the same standard of law as everybody else, you shouldn't be able to claim qualified immunity. I work in a kitchen. I'm not allowed to claim qualified immunity if someone gets sick from our food. But technically, I cooked, everything was cooked to, whatever these safe levels are. That's not how this works. You can't just claim qualified immunity and boom, you can't be held accountable for literally anything. It's ridiculous. They like qualified immunity. They should be passing laws, or at the very least stripping that. from any kind of legal protection for police officers. Like the only time you should be using qualified immunity is under like what's the word? Undercover investigation sort of stuff. In that case, I'm like, okay, maybe you can make a strong argument for qualified immunity. Anything else? No. Jesus Christ. They just fucking crippled that guy. That guy's not gonna be able to walk now because of what? He wasn't charged with anything. He wasn't. He was arrested, but nothing ended up happening. Obviously, they didn't have enough evidence to actually bring charges toward him. So, fuck. Jesus. New Haven officials announced a series of police reforms this summer stemming from the case, including eliminating the use of police vans for most prisoner transports and using marked police vehicles instead. Why the fuck do you need vans? What the fuck are you doing? What do you need a van for? How many people are you picking up? What is this, a fucking police Uber? They also require officers to immediately call for an ambulance or respond to their location if the prisoner requests or appears to need medical aid. God, it's not like that shouldn't already have been a standard as it was. Like the craziest part is when they say those are the reforms they want, the thing that hits me the hardest is the idea that those weren't already the reforms. That's the part that hits me the hardest. It's like, wait, you didn't already require them to call an ambulance if somebody appeared to need it or requested it? Fucking nuts. Fucking policing in this country. They just crippled that guy. They just crippled that guy. The state of Connecticut just crippled that guy. Jesus Christ. Okay, well, after that incredibly pleasant segment, next up, because I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment, and because you all know that I love responding to Matt Walsh, that's what we got next. Matt Walsh, what's conservative crybaby and whiner of all topics, couldn't get through, which I find it really interesting. This guy probably goes to his do you think he goes to his family Thanksgivings, which are probably all filled with other conservatives, or maybe he eats alone. He eats Thanksgiving alone. Who knows? He seems like a pretty joyless person. But imagine you're you're having Thanksgiving dinner. You're having dry ass turkey, and everyone's getting along, having fun. At the end of the table sits your long related cousin Matt Walsh. You're eating, you're complimenting the food, making small talk. And at the end of the table, he perks up and he goes, "What I can't believe is what these liberal demon degenerate demonic sacrificing babies, Jewish people, maybe, who knows, possibly progressive groomer leftists want to do with Thanksgiving." Apropos of nothing, you're sitting there and you have to hear all of the buzzwords all at once. You're just sitting there what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Fucking everyone was talking about the nice turkey, and this guy is already triggered and complaining about the left. Who does Matt Walsh interact with in the outside world that he constantly is hearing the left's takes on stuff? This is what I don't get about reactionaries, is all they seem to tend to do is be interested in what everybody else is thinking and doing, and then getting really upset about it. It's got to be a really tiring existence. But anyway, let's take a look, because apparently people, and this is always my favorite conservative meme, apparently people were melting down over Thanksgiving for some reason. The only thing I saw melting was my respect for turkey every single year, because, as per usual, turkey's garbage. Anyway, let's take a look. Let's see what Matt's complaining about now.
By white settlers. This was the message that the left recrimination.
Whoa.
Thanksgiving. The war on Thanksgiving has been raging for years now as the cultural powers that be attempt to turn a time of gratitude and celebration into an occasion for...
First they came for the Christmas. Now they come for the Thanksgiving. Honestly, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Nobody's planning on canceling Thanksgiving. Like, everyone's just like, hey, it'd be cool if people were more knowledgeable about the historical context of Thanksgiving. But, you know, historical context and Matt Walsh, two things that don't really mix well.
Guilt and recrimination. Now, we know that these forces seek to destroy all traditions.
Why are you so guilty, man?
Our ancestors, and this is the primary issue that they have with Christmas, too. With every holiday that they themselves didn't invent, is that it's a tradition passed to us by our ancestors.
As usual, projection.
But Thanksgiving, like Columbus Day, is especially egregious in their eyes because it harkens back to the European conquest of North America, which is...
Wait, but... like, Columbus Day isn't really celebrating anything other than a guy. I don't really think, like, what did Columbus do? Something that millions of other people already did? Cross the ocean? Like, the only reason why Columbus is relevant is because, like, Columbus crossed the ocean on behalf of, like, Western European civilization. But, like, you know, there were already, like, what, the Vikings were already over here. People, you know, indigenous people were already over here. Like, it's only... Christopher Columbus is really only interesting if, like, your interest in the world begins and stops with, like, Western European, what's the word? The Western European world, basically.
It's an historical event that these days is supposed to provoke nothing but grief and lamentation. In fact, for years, the left has tried to rebrand Thanksgiving as un-Thanksgiving, or as it's called in some quarters now, Thanksgiving is a national day of mourning, in recognition, of course, of alleged atrocities carried out against indigenous people by whites.
I utterly love that Matt has to say allegedly, even though, like, to Matt's audience, he's going to say alleged atrocities, and they're going to go, yup. Those are not confirmed. We do not have proof of any of that. Even though if you read just a textbook, Matt, you would have already heard about those atrocities. I went to a basic public school and heard about all of this stuff. So I don't know where the fuck Matt Walsh got his education. That somehow he didn't hear about the Trail of Tears or the extermination of the Native Americans in this country. But I just find it funny, like, you know, Matt will sit on here and opine and complain and whine and bitch about, you know the folly of masculinity, the degradation of the nuclear family, the inability for and how hard it is for men these days. But, like, the minute you give him, like, historical facts that, you know, the minute you approach him with, like, history of, like, confirmed and, like, reconfirmed and kind of well known at this point injustices by the colonial settlers, then Matt Walsh is all of a sudden like, whoa, I think we need to talk about, we need to just pick our words right. You know, these are alleged things that happen. We don't know if this happened. Like, it's just fucking, like, god damn, man. The bending of reality by these guys is quite amazing, actually. Like, when I think about it, I'm like, the idea that you can hold in your head all of the, like, men have it tough right now, like, stats and framing and bullshit, and at the same time that, like, also no European colonial settlers did not do any of the atrocities that every textbook ever written about history has confirmed. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. Like, where these people get their information, you really have to wonder.
Settlers. This was the message that the left tried to send again this past Thanksgiving, many taking the opportunity to post on social media.
Oh my God.
Like this is from journalist Walter Brahman, who says,
Dude, okay, this is where my tiredness is going to come in. Dude, you literally just scroll Twitter, you just follow, like, Matt, do you just follow a bunch of, like, Twitter? Do you just live on Twitter and you just pull tweets of people that make you upset? Because I'm not going to lie, man, for a guy who purports to be, like, this, like, alpha male type, this is some pretty like bitch made activity to just be scrolling like Facebook and Twitter and everywhere looking for people with real opinions that you can oppose. It's just kind of sad.
While giving thanks and celebrating the holiday, remember it is a national day of mourning for Native Americans that marks generations of broken promises and oppression. It is important to recognize that legacy as we grapple with a resurgent.
What's funny also, keep in mind, Matt's never going to like actually address any of this. He is just going to say it's ridiculous and not once offer a counterfactual point. Like he's just going to complain. Understand that, like he's just going to complain. He's just going to do the he's just going to, while being triggered, he's going to ask if you're triggered, lefty. And yeah, that's kind of all Matt has in this case, really. And that's all a lot of these conservatives has. They're just triggered and mad and in their feelings most of the time.
Ever. And then he continues, say it with me. The United States carried out a genocide against this continent's indigenous people, and it served as a blueprint for future generations.
True.
A writer named Simon Moya Smith agreed.
A writer. He was just like, I found some other guy who on his profile says he's a writer.
Day of mourning for indigenous peoples all across this land. We also call it
I wonder if he like searched for National Day of Mourning.
Celebrate our resiliency and that we are still here. The U.S. tried to kill every indigenous man, woman, and child, but we are still here. And there were also acts of protest around the country,
we're still
like in
here.
Chicago, as New York Post reports, quote, for the second time in under 2 months, a statue dedicated to former President Abraham Lincoln was defaced in Chicago on Thanksgiving. A statue of a young Abraham Lincoln in Sen Park in Chicago's Edgewater neighborhood was found covered in splotches of red paint.
Are you triggered, Matt Walsh?
Colonizer and land back.
You seem really triggered, Matt Walsh. Also, by the way, Abraham Lincoln, colonizer. Look, Lincoln might have freed the slaves, but didn't really have much interest in Native American rights, now did he?
According to
again, this is like one of those things. Like keep in mind. Again, we'll keep going, but keep in mind, Matt Walsh has just read things that are factual with a tone of disapproval. That's all he's done. He's just read stuff and done it in a tone that's disapproving. He hasn't made a single argument.
The Chicago Tribune, the statue also had Dakota 38 written on it in reference to the Dakota Sioux members who Lincoln ordered to be executed following the Dakota War of 1862.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that there aren't any injustices happening in the world today, right now, which frees us up to...
What is this whataboutism? Also, by the way, of course, Matt Walsh, not in favor of protests. He's a fascist, obviously, but still.
50 years ago. That is quite a nice luxury, I must say. But, there may be even something to be thankful for. I don't know. Just not on Thanksgiving, as the holiday is simply too complicated now. It's complicated. This
Nobody said it's complicated.
Favorite term to describe Thanksgiving, with many outlets bringing in
Native American activists
to talk about the emotional complexities surrounding what we all want.
So, actually, that's a good point. We should talk. We should maybe talk about this. Actually, I'm gonna let this play, and I'm gonna find the thing I want to watch.
Wholesome holiday, but it's not anymore because it's just complicated. Watch.
Thanksgiving originally celebrated a harvest feast shared by Native Americans and English colonists. But as Fox 43's Harry Lee explains, the holiday can bring out different emotions for indigenous people.
For many Americans, Thanksgiving means gathering with family to eat a large meal together. For Native Americans, the holiday isn't so simple.
A lot of people in the indigenous communities do want to look at this at the time of mourning because they see, just what we have lost.
After Europeans colonized North America, many Native communities were decimated by disease, famine, and displacement. Frank Littlebear of the Plains Cree Nation explains, though, that the many tribes and families of indigenous communities now celebrate Thanksgiving in different ways. He points out fall was always a season of thanks.
It actually started in October, a time of, receiving the harvest of like the Three Sisters, the corn, bean, squash, deer, things like that, and really preparing for winter. So it was actually a time of celebration.
As for the elementary school depictions of the first Thanksgiving,
I remember wearing those outfits.
Puritan English and Wampanoag tribe members inaccurately dressed in Western Plains attire.
I think, yeah, there's certain things that they could probably do better.
Little Bear says it's still important to build.
You know what's really funny too? That guy's being wildly reasonable. Like, that guy's like, they could be doing better, but it's also for kids. It's not really the biggest deal in the world.
A connection to Native American culture from a young age.
It's a building process. It's not going to happen overnight.
Build a connection to Native American culture. That's what Thanksgiving's about. Meanwhile, the ACLU tried.
Wait, what? Wait, whoa, Matt. Whoa, Matt. Whoa. Are you rejecting like half of the tradition of Thanksgiving? Again, you know, I just want to say this now, and let's just make this really clear. Let's just make this really clear. Matt Walsh is, unlike his compatriots at Daily Wire, I at least respect Matt Walsh for just being open about his racism and about his xenophobia and quite frankly all of his phobias, really. But yeah, I mean, you know, you watch that clip, and I always find it interesting, the clips that they pick, because I'm like, all right, what like outrageous, ridiculous, like lefty representative are they going to use to straw man? And like, this is the best they got.
Western Plains attire.
I think, yeah, there's certain things that they could probably do better.
Little Bear says it's still important to build a connection to Native American culture from a young age.
It's a building process. It's not going to happen overnight.
Did that sound radical? Did any of that sound radical to any of you? Probably not, because what's really that radical about it? He's like, hey, it would be cool, you know, as we teach, you know, the history of Thanksgiving, let's recognize the other half of that equation, which is the people of the indigenous groups that helped the settlers make it through the winter and shared in that holiday. But of course, Matt Walsh is you know, sitting there thinking like, we already fucking beat you guys. We already took your fucking land. The fact that you want us to even fucking remember you makes me sick. Like this is, at the end of the day, all Matt Walsh had. Like, he's just a racist. He's just a racist. And we're also going to look at something else. But let's continue this. Let's see what else this degenerate has to offer.
Native American culture. That's what Thanksgiving's about.
God forbid.
The ACLU tried the repetition technique, posting on.
Well, also my favorite thing is if you told him like, hey, you know, if you asked about Western culture, he would probably be like, oh, well, obviously we need to build connections between Western culture, but you know, Native American culture, you know, no interest in that, as per usual.
Thanksgiving morning in all caps. You are on native land. 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 Unfortunately, they only repeated the phrase 10 times. If they could have squeezed in.
Too bad it's gonna seem to take like more than 10 to get through Matt Walsh's fucking titanium thick skull.
That 11th time, I may have been convinced, but they only got to 10. Now, there are a few points here that I think are worth making. First, of course, the story about Thanksgiving that we tell our children, or used to tell them, is simplified. Okay? That's because young children are only capable of understanding simple concepts. You give them.
So understand, a cornerstone also of Matt Walsh's politics is a disrespectful and like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the disregarding of the opinions, the thoughts, the input really at all of people that he feels are lesser than him. So, you know, this cuts in a lot of different directions because for Matt Walsh, you know, the people who are lesser than him are Native Americans. They don't have a right to argue for their history being taught. People who he thinks are lesser than him are black people who have a culture he does not respect and he thinks should not be promoted in any media source. There are, you know, he believes himself better than, you know, Mexican or, you know, South American individuals because they are immigrants and they are not worthy of their opinions, their culture, you know, they should be assimilating to his culture. They certainly should not be voting if they vote in a way that Matt Walsh does not approve of. And when it comes to children, Matt Walsh does not believe that they are his equal either. Matt Walsh, like all the rest of those other groups I just named, believes that children are dumb, must be told what to think, and cannot handle more complex ideas than cube and cube hole, circle and circle hole, triangle and triangle hole. That's what Matt Walsh thinks. Matt Walsh has no interest, and probably, I would guess, I'm actually kind of curious. One second. I'm curious now, because now I have to wonder if this guy has kids. If you know if he does or doesn't, by all means, let me know. But I'm pretty skeptical that he has children. And if he does, well, I feel quite bad about how he most likely treats his kids. Let's see. Oh my God, he has 4 kids. Yeah, so those 4 kids, understand, when Matt Walsh goes home to his 4 kids, and when Matt Walsh conceptualizes his family life, it's authoritarian and it's fascist. His kids do not have opinions that he doesn't approve of until they, even though they obviously will. But Matt Walsh is no different than any of those Karen helicopter parents who don't let their kids have opinions that are alternative to theirs. They constantly degrade their children and their children's efforts in doing things. God forbid any of Matt Walsh's kids are gay also. But understand, this guy has no respect for you, your kids, your family, anything. If it doesn't fit within the worldview of and in the perspective of Matt Walsh and what he wants, then guess what? Fuck you, and fuck your kids also. They're fucking stupid. They can barely decide what what chicken nuggies they want for dinner tonight. Fuck them. That's Matt Walsh's politics, and he extrapolates those politics out to every single group. Hispanic can't speak English. Fuck them, kick them out the country. What is it? Blacks would like to not be second-class citizens. Fuck them. They used to be owned by white people. What's the other one I said? Oh, indigenous people. They used to live here. Fuck them. We beat them in the wars and almost killed all of their people and went back on every treaty that we ever wrote and signed with them. Fuck them. Matt Walsh, piece of shit. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's this guy's politics. This guy's politics is, hey, are you Matt Walsh? No, fuck you.
The simple version first, and then over time, you build on it, adding layers of complexity.
Also,
fact,
remember this. Also, remember this guy has like no. Remember, this guy has like no educational history. Like, this guy does not know education policy whatsoever. So when he says like you have to start with this, then you go to this. Well, maybe you could, or you could just start with the complex thing and explain it. It's easy ways to it. It's very easy to explain complex issues to children.
Ending of the European settlement of the New World. Instead, they've replaced one simplified story with a different, but even more simplified story. It's just been simplified in the other direction. So the popular and simplified myth now, not just to children, but hammered into everybody's head, is a story of evil, barbaric white people who came here and just immediately carried out a genocide against peaceful Indians, who never did a single thing to deserve or provoke any of the violence visited upon them.
Who never did anything while their lands were being invaded and stolen from them, guys.
This is the story we're supposed to believe now. It is the new founding myth of America. Every nation has its founding myth, right?
Actually, it's the founding fact.
Are designed to instill pride and
See, this is the difference. This is the difference. Matt Walsh wants dogma, and Matt Walsh wants myth. What the thing that he finds so offensive is not that the left is attempting to rewrite the founding myth. He's upset that the left is trying to shed light on the founding fact, not the myth. the facts of the matter, the facts of colonialism, and the facts of how indigenous tribes were treated by the settlers back then, undermines his myth, undermines his feelings. And he don't like that. So he's going to get up on his little soapbox and he's going to whine and moan that they're making it too complicated. That, as usual with Matt Walsh, can't simply come out and say his fucking argument, which is, hey, I like the story where white people were A-OK and everyone got along and we just happened to beat them in war later. I liked that story. Why are you not letting me enjoy that story anymore? That's all he's really trying to say. But as per usual with Matt Walsh, because, and I don't say this lately, but the guy kind of seems like a pedo. He's got to launder it through this kids obsession, which he seems to always. Does anybody else notice that? Do you guys like I don't know if his audience notices that, but I'm sure you guys notice how interested he seems to be when it comes to like the kids. Like, anybody else find it a bit odd how like every issue he talks about, eventually he boils it back to, but what about the kids? Part of it is a political strategy, but the other part, like, there's part of me that kind of is like, why are you always making it about children? Like, why? Like, what is this weird obsession you have with children? To which the Surfs uncovered another weird video of Matt Walsh opining. I don't even know if it was on his platform or whatever was happening, but it seems like in the apropos of nothing and in the middle of driving, Matt Walsh had a fucking brain blast or some shit and decided to pull over and opine about something else that he thinks is too complicated.
Minds, we have really two categories. There are non-consensual sex, which is bad, and then we have consensual sex, which we think is always good. That's what we.
Yes.
That's what the culture says. That's what we.
Yes. That is what normal people think, is that consensual sex good, non-consensual bad. It's incredibly simple.
Seems like that's the idea that we have. It's like, as long as they're consenting adults who choose to do this thing, then it must be okay. But the reality is that there's a lot of bad sex. There's a lot of immoral sex. There's a lot of disordered, gross, harmful sex that is nonetheless consensual.
Mm-hmm.
All of the cases that I mentioned, they're all immoral, bad, gross, harmful. But they're not all rape. Some of them were.
Ooh.
Not all of them.
What was that? Hold up. Wait. So, Matt Walsh, the very, very concerned dad of the conservative movement, apparently, seems to have an issue with rape being labeled non-consensual, or that rape is that's a bit sus. I'd like to hear this explanation. One second.
A lot of immoral sex. There's a lot of disordered, gross, harmful sex. That is
right, and all of those things would be like you know. Actually, here, I have an idea. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. One second. I have an idea. Okay. We're going to do this, yes. This one. Okay. Okay. We're going to do this. Stick with me here, guys. Okay. We're going to do this. Going to do this. And then I'm going to do this. Okay. Okay. This is, let's kind of keep this in mind. All right, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. We're going to kind of, okay, this should be good. Oh, there we go. Zoom out. Okay, there we go. Let me zoom out real quick. Okay, this is much better. This is much better. Oh wait, how do I? No, just delete all this. Okay, there we go. All right. So, the reason why I bring this one up specifically is because we're gonna go over this, but I want to kind of track this a little bit. Actually, let's get rid of me for a minute. I know, you guys are gonna miss me, but let's get rid of me for a second. All right, we're gonna get rid of me.
Nonetheless consensual. That's the idea that we have. It's like, as long as they're consenting adults who choose to do this thing, then it must be okay. But the reality is that there's a lot of bad sex. There's a lot of immoral sex. There's a lot of disordered, gross, harmful sex that is nonetheless consensual. All of the cases that I mentioned, they're all immoral, bad, gross, harmful. But they're not all rape. Some of them were, not all of them.
Okay. I'm just going to make the assumption that we're fine and keep moving along. Anyway, my point being that nope, not in that color. There it is. Now, for anybody who can't read Venn diagrams, I'm sure this seems like a bit I'm sure this seems a bit difficult. I feel like this is rather simple. This isn't like super complex as far as I know. But I suppose to Matt Walsh, this is very complicated. Do I really only have like 25? Oh, man. I can see why people don't really use paint all that much. Hi. Hello. There are cats. Anyway, let's continue hearing some dumb opinions.
Is always good. That's what the culture says. That's what a lot of us have. Most of us, it seems like that's the idea that we have. It's like,
pretty simple.
As long as they're consenting adults who choose to do this thing, then it must be okay. But the reality is that there's a lot of bad sex. There's a lot of immoral sex. There's a lot of disordered, gross, harmful sex.
That's true. It would all go into this category.
All of the cases that I mentioned.
Didn't mention cases.
I mentioned.
At least I haven't heard any.
They're all immoral, bad, gross, harmful. But they're not all rape. Some of them were. Not all of them.
So this is the thing. Like, this is already kind of the bar, right? This is pretty much the two big ones in the non-consent given category. So I'm curious, you know, the idea of like, oh, what if we take some things from here and we put it into this category as well? Or more or less, Matt Walsh's whole thing is that consent is not what makes something like rape or pedophilia. The bad part, I think, is kind of also a bit of his weird argument.
Until we acknowledge that there are other ways to have immoral sexual relations with a person, until we reclaim sexual morality and sexual boundaries, we will be
morality?
To condemn all
really,
bad
what's more moral than
consent, which
somebody
expands the idea of consent so broadly as to render it meaningless.
So remember, this was also the case with the last thing he spoke about, where it's always like this weird, everything's so complicated, we can't understand it. Nobody can understand what any of this means. This is the diagram, guys. If you didn't get consent, it's what you're doing is one of these two. If you did, if you did, it's most likely literally anything else. And like, Sam Cedar made the point that I think also is he made a good point that if you would like consent to not be the standard at which we that we measure these things on, that means it cuts both ways. And that means that getting rid of this, now you have no way of explaining why rape is bad if it's not about consent. And also, you've now muddied the waters a lot in terms of, what counts as rape, what counts as pedophilia, what counts as any of these things. You end up just kind of muddying the waters just enough to make it that it's actually complicated and actually hard to understand and hard to believe and hard to suss out. Basically, it's a bit odd. Like, Matt Walsh at the end of the day is a odd individual, but more than anything, I just find that like his weird obsession with like kids and kind of figuring out this sort of like, consent, non-consent, this or that, it's one of those cases where like, you end up kind of telling on yourself like by, again, kind of just by kind of revealing that you're a bit on the sussy side in terms of where your head is at in terms of consent. Like if you would like consent to not be the bar anymore, then it's a bit odd. It's a bit odd.
Until we acknowledge that there are other ways to have all bad sex on the grounds of consent, which expands the idea of consent so broadly as to render it meaningless, so that when we really need it, when there is actual non-consensual sex happening, we don't have any meaningful way to describe it, because the word consent has become is.
And again, who is he talking to? We all know, everyone in here already knows what consent means, and we all have a pretty basic it's really not a hard concept. Matt Walsh is making the argument that consent is difficult, when all it is, when it's about as complicated as like fucking stoplights. Like that's all this is. They're traffic lights. It's green, yellow, red. That's it. There's nothing more to read from it than that. But it's got to be complicated. It's got to be weird. Society's gone in this weird direction. I can't seem to understand that when I like forcibly, when I force my wife to have sex with me, how is that rape? How could that possibly be rape? Matt Walsh says in his own home. Strange guy. Odd individual. But, oh, goodness. Anyway, let's move on from Matt Walsh. We have one more thing to kind of look at, and that is honestly the big news from the weekend. I was working most of the weekend, but I didn't see a lot going on. I heard about this. It was interesting to say the least, but let's kind of dive into this a little bit. Former President Donald Trump had dinner Tuesday at his Mar-a-Lago estate with white nationalist Nick Fuentes and rapper Kanye West. Man, bingo cards. A Trump advisor confirmed to CBS News on Friday. The former president said in a statement to CBS News that he did not know who Fuentes was, nor that he were. Oh my! I lost my plot. I look away for 2 seconds. Oh. They did not know Fuentes was, nor that he would be arriving with West, who is also known as Ye. Are we really doing the Ye thing? Okay, that's what we're doing. Kanye West very much wanted to visit Mar-a-Lago. Our dinner meeting was intended to be Kanye and me only, but he arrived with a guest whom I never met and knew nothing about, Trump said in a statement on CBS News. The news of the dinner was first reported by Axios. Fuentes is a leading figure on the far right. Leading. I don't know about all that. Having attended the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville in 2017 and the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th. Funny, 2 very violent rallies held by the right wing. Crazy that. Crazy the right wing might be a bit fashy. Possibly. Let's see. Who has spread anti-Semitic conspiracies, is considered a white supremacist by the Anti-Defamation League. According to the ADL, Fuentes jokingly denied the Holocaust and compared Jews burned in the concentration camps to cookies in an oven. Classic Call of Duty memes spoken out into the real world. I'm glad it's all coming full circle, where all the U.S. is just turning into a Call of Duty lobby. I love it. West has been embroiled in the controversy for weeks since posting anti-Semitic remarks, having lost high-profile sponsorships. He had been restricted from Twitter after his anti-Semitic tweets he posted last week. West, who is said to be running for he did put a video out saying he was running for 2024. He had a debrief with Trump, and he asked Trump to be his running mate. Trump basically started screaming at me, telling me I was going to lose. Oh, yeah, I think I heard about this. Like, Kanye was like, all right, Trump, so do you want to be my VP? And Trump's like, excuse me? I'm the head of... I'm running the ship. The fuck is this? West also said he loves Trump, but said that he told the former president he needed to bring back some of his loyalists who the media quote tried to cancel, such as Trump's first 2016 campaign manager Corwin Lewandowski. You're right, the media who canceled him by giving him a position at CNN. You're right, really canceled there. And free the people who were arrested on the connection on January 6th, right? Oh yeah, just free people who broke the law. Why not? He basically gives me this whole mob-esque kind of story, talking to some kid from the south side of Chicago, trying to sound mobby. I don't know what mobby is or whatever, and he goes into the story about all they went through to get Alice Johnson out of jail, and he didn't do it for Kim, he did it for me. Well, that's cute. Discuss the lesser extent. We also discussed, to a lesser extent, politics, where I told him he should definitely not run for president. Any voters you may have should vote for Trump. Anyway, we got along great. He expressed no anti-Semitism, and I appreciated all the nice things he said about me on Tucker Carlson. Why wouldn't I agree to meet? Also, I didn't know Nick Friend says. Andrew Bates, White House Deputy Press Secretary, said in a statement Saturday, bigotry, hate, and anti-Semitism are absolutely no place in America, including Mar-a-Lago. Holocaust denial is repugnant, dangerous, and must be forcefully condemned. Hi, River. Okay. Matt Brooks, executive director of the Republican Jewish Coalition, told CBS News in a statement Friday, "We strongly condemn the virulent anti-Semitism of Kanye West and Nick Fuentes and call on all political leaders to reject their messages of hate." River, why are you doing this? Okay. Of hate and reject theirs and refuse to meet with them. So, unfortunately for the Republican, the Republican Jewish Coalition, unfortunately for them, they've found themselves in a bit of a awkward situation where their politics has driven their voters to become not just conspiratorial, but anti-Semitic. So, that's always fun. Good job. You guys kind of played yourself on that one. There's a part of me that I feel like I should feel kind of bad for that scenario for them, but that's kind of one of those things that I can't really feel too bad for them, mainly just because you kind of made your own bed with that one, my friend. You made your own bed on that one. But anyway, let's take a look, because I'm not super familiar. Like I said earlier, I only really know of, God, that's what he looks like, Nick Fuentes through other channels, but I'm kind of curious. Let's take a look at who this lovely individual is. Actually, one second. Let me fix something on my screen. Okay, cool. There we go. Anyway, what am I reading? Okay, here we go. All right. Nicholas J. Fuentes. You guys needed the J. Come on. 5 things to know. All right, let's take a look. Nick Fuentes is a white supremacist leader and organizer. Guys, come on. Commas. Commas, people. Commas. The and is for the last one. And podcaster who seeks to forge a white nationalist alternative to the mainstream GOP. Ah, yes. So he's from the lunatic wing. Got it. Nick Fuentes first gained widespread notoriety in 2017 when he left Boston University after he reported receiving threats tied to his attendance at the white supremacist Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. Okay. He has since become a prominent white supremacist pundit and organizer who has united disparate groups within what was until recently known as the alt-right. In 2017, Fuentes began hosting his live stream show, America First, with Nick Fuentes, who attracted a cult-like following. White Oh, look at that. And we're back. Also, it's on modern output, so you could probably hear me twice, but now you can't. Okay. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know what the fuck happened with my mic. That was weird. I think that was just a... Computers, man. Computers. Anyway, I don't know where I left off, but either way, Nick Fuentes, podcaster, yep, left, I'm assuming. All right. Let's get to the meat of this here. Fuentes seeks to carve out a space that deliberately and publicly challenges the mainstream conservative movement while doubling down on themes central to the white supremacist movement. Fuentes and his America First adherents vocally support closures of U.S. borders to immigrants while opposing liberal values such as feminism and LGBTQ+. Also, I hope he realizes that liberal values also are democracy and egalitarianism and a lot of the things that he would actually claim as European values. A lot of times when these guys talk about white European values and shit, most of the time weirdly they also don't like the liberal values that came out of that, even though those are cornerstones of European and specifically Western European thought. So it's also really weird. And it's mostly just picking the things that you like and against the things that you don't. European American. I think that's what I was saying when I noticed the mic wasn't working. Yeah, somehow European American is a thing. I don't know how, but for whatever reason, that's a thing. As far as I ever knew, the Europeans are not all that interested in identifying with with Americans. They don't really, as far as I've ever experienced, they're not really all that interested in that sort of stuff. So that's a bit odd to say the least. Sorry, I was just checking something. Let's see. Anyway, let's see. Podcast titled America First was initially inspired by speeches and platform of Donald Trump. What a fucking loser, dude. How do you see Donald Trump speeches and you're oh yeah, that's what I'm gonna name my my conservative podcast after. Trump's embrace of Israel as well as mainstream. Okay, here we go. However, Fuentes later adopted the term for his own purposes after distancing himself from the GOP platform to attract young conservatives. Fuentes and his followers angrily objected to the Trump administration's embrace of Israel, as well as the mainstream conservatives' support of globalism, a right-wing slur theory about the cabal of elites who are controlling the world. Yeah, globalism doesn't really mean anything to them. Let's say, keep going. In an effort to further distance himself from the mainstream GOP, Fuentes founded the American First Political Action Conference, or AFPAC, fun name. In 2020, AFPAC ostensibly serves as a counterweight to the annual CPAC. Okay, so basically crazier CPAC event held at the same time, which is largely attended by mainstream conservatives. Yeah. All right. Nick Fuentes believes that he is working to defend against leftist cultural changes that are destroying the true America, a white Christian nation. Never mind the fact that America is not a Christian nation, because we have not only a separation of church and state, but at our founding, a rejection of a declaration of religion. But, fascist, not interested, clearly. True America, you could probably ask him what true America means, and he'd give 10 different answers, with at least all of them having a counterpoint where it's well, this kind of contradicts this and this contradicts the other one. But yeah, as lovely people we have here. Fuentes promotes white supremacist beliefs. He adamantly claims not to be a white supremacist. Whoa, shocker. Calling the term an anti-white slur. You're right. Okay, that's a take. Rather, Fuentes positions himself as a Christian conservative, naturally using religion as a shield, nice, who oppose societal shifts on immigration, abortion, and more, as nefarious efforts led by the left and fundamentally erode America's Christian values. They don't, die mad. We don't have Christian values, die mad. Also, what is it? Fundamentally erode, what was it? Nefarious efforts, right? Okay. Great replacement. Sounds nice. Oh, here we go. The American regime used text censorship, COVID hoax, election fraud, and capital false flag to put down the revolts started by Trump in 2016 and ensure it can't happen again. Whoa. So I'm kind of getting the sense this dude is a like teenage boy Karen. Like, he just kind of sounds like Marjorie Taylor Greene so far. Fuentes has used his platform to make numerous anti-Semitic and racist comments. Shocking. Fuentes has made a number of racist let's see. Matt Wall, okay. Has referred to daily columnist Matt Walsh as, I don't know what the fuck is that, because he works for, oh my god. Wait. Fuentes and Matt Walsh, like Fuentes hates Matt Walsh? That's kind of amazing. The idea that you'd be so far right that you hate Matt Walsh, that's kind of amazing. Yep, we saw this. Let's see. Fuentes participated in a debate on right-wing conspiracists. Alex Infowars with Robert Barnes, a man described as a constitutional lawyer. Dude, I'm like so tired of hearing about constitutional lawyers. It's like it's like if I was like a dog groomer, but only for like one breed of dog. Who has legally defended both Jones and Kenosha shooter Kyle Rittenhouse. That's a W and a massive L. Let's see. I don't see Jews as Europeans. I don't see them as part of Western civilization, particularly because they are not Christians. What does being from the West have to do with being Christian? I didn't realize that being Christian was based on your geographical location. In April, to support mainstream Republicans to champion the anti-Semitic focus on Jew. Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. Let's see. What's really important to understand is that the crisis in race relations in the country basically amounts to black failure. And how do we explain the continued disparity in just about every measure between the races? Libertarians think it's politically expedient to just hand wave this stuff away with economic freedom zones and liberalization and stuff like this. The problem is that if race realism is true, which it's not, probably no policy will ever succeed in closing these gaps. Meanwhile, the non-white population is getting emboldened and impatient and larger in numbers. They're not, also. It's funny he says that, but it's like, they're not, and they're not. So, well, actually, they are, and they're not. But, okay. Cool. Fuentes promoted election fraud narratives, encourages adherents to participate in nationwide Stop the Steal protests. Fuentes serves as an organizer, speaker. Yeah. Let's see. Fuentes posted a video on DLive, tactically urging. I thought DLive was for. Never mind. Tactically urging followers to kill state legislators before he seemed to backpedal. What can you and I do to state legislators besides kill them? Although I'm not advising that, but I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, do I need, like, okay. In the lead January 6th, Fuentes received an estimated, wow, Jesus Christ, $250,000 in donations, supporting in attendance. I will return to DC and rally. Sure. Of course you will. Oh, naturally. Oh, it's my favorite. Oh, American flag. Wait, what the fuck is that? Is that an as fuck flag? Oh no, that's the America First. Okay. On January 6th, a January 6th guy. I can't get to Florida today because they will not let me get on the plane. I am on a no-fly list. I will still be streaming the press conference. Damn, that sucks to suck. You're going to be a terrorist? Guess what? No planes for you. We learned that back in 2001. Fuentes has been embraced and praised by a spectrum of far-right fringe conservatives, providing him a larger platform for elevating the America First movement. Okay. Let's see. Paul Gosar. Right. I do remember this. Yep. I remember hearing. Yeah, Gosar's like a fucking nutter. Okay, yeah. Arizona's 4th district. Democrats really need to, like, boot this guy out of fucking office. Okay, so yeah. General white supremacist. Sounds fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, let's see. Let's take a look. What do we got?
That's what we call the secret ingredient. America and the world has forgotten about them.
I'm sorry. Wait, huh? Wait. Wait. No.
That's what we call the secret ingredient. America and the world has forgotten about them, but not us.
I'm sorry, but is this the master race, guys? I gotta ask. This is the master race. This is the I don't even know what to say. Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, dude. Oh, buddy. Good God. I don't even. Okay, that's what he sounds like. All right, sounds like a fucking dweeb. I've got a locker, my friend, for you. I've got a locker for you.
You know, they say about America, they say diversity is our strength.
They say.
And I look at China. And
is he doing a Joker voice?
Can we give a round of applause for Russia?
He's doing like a Joker voice. Like he's actively doing like the like, what's it called? The He's like actually doing the like Heath Ledger voice. That's distressing.
Yeah, but I take a look around the world. I look at Russia. I look at China. You know, China, they're editing their babies to be smarter, stronger, faster.
What is editing?
Russia, they're invading countries. They took out the whole Ukrainian.
Did they? Not, you know, I know, but did they though? I'm sorry, but like I've kept a mild eye on the war front. Did they though, Nick? Did they?
But I rest easy at night knowing
I wish I could say that I'd love to talk to Nick Fuentes, but I don't think Twitch would let me have him on. Wait, what was that last bit? Oh, wait, huh? I didn't know.
But I rest easy at night knowing that America has diversity.
Yeah, I don't. You know, more than anything, I don't even know what to say. I'm rather underwhelmed. Like, that guy seems kind of dweeby. So he sounds like he got shoved into maybe 3 too many lockers in high school by strong black classmates. That's kind of the reading I get from all that. Seems like seems like he's a bit triggered. He had a tough time in school. Seems like he got bullied a bit too much. Maybe not enough, possibly. I don't know. They always say like, or maybe I don't know. Kind of starting to think maybe bully some of those people a little bit more. Who knows? I don't know. Not the but this dude deserves that. Like I said, I got a locker for you, man. Yeah, I like. Look, I don't know how far this dude's gonna go. I don't expect very far. I mean, look, he's made it. You know, he was able to raise $250,000 more than I've ever been able to raise. So there's that. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty hard for him to shift the Republican Party into so much open bigotry and racism. But apparently, when was this? This was like recent. Yeah, apparently, I guess a month ago, he made it on YouTube somehow. So I'm kind of curious to see what this turned out to be. This is from some channel called No Jumper. No idea who the fuck this is. They have 4.4 million subscribers. I don't know who the fuck they are. But apparently, okay, so this person, also Sneeko is here. I don't know who that is either. And a bunch of names I don't recognize. So let's take a look. We'll kind of preview through this a little bit.
No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today, me, AD, and Flacco are having a conversation. Probably the most controversial person that we're ever going to talk to, apparently. Nick Fuentes, how you doing?
Whoa.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Sneeko was supposed to be on this.
Good, a fucking nerd.
Joining us at some point.
I'm
at Arbery. Nah,
you were
it's not
disgusted
funny.
by that?
Well,
white people
by that.
jogging is a white people activity.
No, but in the sense of Ahmaud Arbery, you know what I'm saying, the way he lost his life because
Like in Haiti.
Okay, I want to.
An American, I think. So, I mean, we can have low-skilled people to race. I don't know that I would say like,
Okay.
But people say things like Nick wants to. Race realism is simply the idea that.
That's how they would use that phrase.
Yeah.
To indicate
Okay,
race realism, aka black people are not as smart as white people and Asian people.
Well, that's not really what race realism is, and I know that Destiny and I've seen you entertain this as well. People say that I put on a certain face and I put on a facade and I disguise my real views. But I'm very open about my real views. I've been canceled for my real views. I've been canceled because I don't hide my real views.
That's mostly you've been canceled because you're not very good at hiding them.
That doesn't mean black people are dumber than white people. It means that there is a reality to race which is both constructed and biological in the sense that...
Wait, so... Is this dude just dishonest? Like, am I going to sit here and say, like, you can't say it with your chest, can you? You just can't say it with your chest, can you? I don't want to have to say that this entire time.
Race is real in the sense that, like, some people say I'm not white because I'm Italian, Mexican, and Irish. But for the sake of example, let's say I'm white, and that means certain things to me.
Yeah, his last name is like Fuentes. The fuck is this? Why the fuck is a guy with the name of Fuentes over here defending the white race?
Constructed way, it means I have a certain nationality, and you could say there's a history there, and there's a cultural thing. But you can also say there's a genetic component too. Like white people have white skin. That's determined by genetics.
Well, it's actually determined
is simply the idea
by melanin.
Race is a biological reality. Now, what you're talking about is these disparities.
Also, melanin is really like melanin mostly just varies depending on the region in which you were like born. Like, okay,
which someone who believes in race,
like historically, where your ancestors have been living from.
Characteristics, you would say that that's the difference in IQ between the races is a function of a genetic difference. It doesn't mean that blacks are dumber than whites. And by the way,
sure.
I brought up Destiny a moment ago because he's been popularizing this. He's been trying to say, Nick believes these things, but he's going to put on his good face. Destiny believes in the same facts. He just doesn't believe in the genetic explanation, which is a legitimate explanation. He just doesn't tell you that.
Right. So
damn, shade on Destiny.
Smeared by the mainstream media or whatever as being more racist than you are.
Yeah. I mean, they lie about my views.
I love that framing, and I love how Nick does not like. He doesn't immediately be like, "Oh wait, he's like he's already said that I'm just mad because I'm like not as racist as they say, but I'm definitely racist. I'm fine with that."
Like I said, I'm very open about my views. I'm not
this dude is a dweeb. I'm sorry, but this dude is a dweeb.
In the most extreme way, but people say things like Nick wants to live in a white.
If America falls to like a dweeby little like man child, little bitch baby boy like this kid, then we never deserve to be a country.
Only country, and Nick thinks whites are better than other people. It's like I don't believe those kinds of things. So
sure.
What is your overall opinion about African American people?
I think they're. What do you mean, my overall opinion?
Just talk about what do you think about black people?
What do you mean about overall opinion?
Good people. I love people. I love all kinds of people. I love black people. My family goes back in Chicago like 4 generations, and so my family's grown up with black people, lived among black people for over 100 years. My grandmother, she grew up in the projects in Chicago. My parents, they ran a security school on the south side of Chicago, South Loop, where they train a lot of black people how to shoot guns and become security guards and cops and things like that. I grew up in the suburbs, so I didn't have as much interactions with black people as my parents.
I grew up in the suburbs. I'm just a dweeby little white boy who doesn't like black people because I got bullied, and probably my girlfriend got stolen by a black guy with a bigger dick than me.
People. I like their art. I think they're talented. I'm friends with a lot of black people. So.
But you would rather live in an ethno state and all the races just sort of stick together?
I wouldn't say that necessarily.
Not necessarily.
All countries have some amount of diversity. What I would say is I'm against immigration because America's always been a white and black country since its founding. When the United States was founded or when Europeans began to settle.
Do I need to say it? I don't think I need to say it.
A country that was white and black, and that is a dynamic.
Fun fact: there were brown people here too.
That's changing in the last 60 years because of immigration. I don't know that I would say like, I prefer to.
Wait. Is he arguing that like? They're like the Mexicans never were here? Is that Nick? We bought Mexican land, you dumbass. We bought land. Oh my god, I feel like he's gonna say a lot of things. I'm gonna be like, this is stupid. Why does it like? But I think that's kind of the point. It's kind of just it's dumb. Like it's all informed by his racism, not by facts or by really any honest or sensical reading of history.
Is what it is. I just want to stop immigration.
In what sense? Like you just think that we allow people into the country too easily, or do we not allow the right kinds of people? I've heard that argument that it's easy for like low skill workers to get into America, and that they sometimes make it hard for like PhDs to stay in the country.
It's just too many. That's the problem. Because the thing is, I guess I'll say it another way. I'm not necessarily against immigration, but we have now is like millions of people coming in every year. Where you're getting
which immediately tell you like Nick obviously is doing the like, well look, it's not that it's not about low skill high skill workers, it's that I don't want people who aren't white to come here. This is kind of open. I mean, he's kind of weaseling out of everything, which is pretty pathetic. I mean, be less of a coward. I thought you were the master race.
tens of millions in a very short amount of time. And it's just changing how the country is fundamentally. Countries can have immigration. They can bring in, you could say a lot of people without changing like the demographic composition of the country, which is what we're doing. We used to have an immigration policy for a long time where it restricted the immigration groups based on national origins, and we would let them in waves, so they would come in and they'd assimilate. What we had after the 65 Immigration Act and the 1990 Immigration Act is they just opened up the spigot of immigration, and the people come and they just don't stop, and they come in bigger numbers every year, and it never relents and never stops. And what's happening now is it's just totally changing the landscape of the country culturally.
People, the radical idea of people moving from one geographic location to the other. Understand that's like the thing that Nick is like, I guess his like cornerstone thing is being really upset that like somebody went from there to like here, and he's really upset about that. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
In terms of the language, our identity as a nation, and that's
the language. We haven't established the language. It's not like the official language of America is Spanish.
High skill people, depending on what you need. But bring in 100,000 people. Don't bring in like 3 million people in a year.
Right. What I will say is that when I see like
Why not?
refugee crisis, I'm just like, why is there any kind of pressure on us to allow any more people than we fucking feel like allowing into our country? Like, it's just not. It shouldn't be our problem at a certain point.
So this guy, I have no idea who this guy is, but he's also doing the "what if we don't feel like it?" To which I would answer, I'm sorry, do you have polling to talk about this? Because I can't help but be like, it's funny. You say how many people we feel like, but yet I don't. Most Americans are like, I don't really give too much of a shit. It's really, most people are like, it's fine as long as they're not coming in and like killing people, then most normies don't really care. Most people don't really have a problem with immigration. They're kind of led into having problems with immigration, but mostly it's because political actors like Fuentes and idiots like this guy who do have problems with immigration end up taking their grievances and twisting them into being topics of immigration.
And it's just crazy that we're expected to make this our problem, that people are just showing up and trying to come in.
Yeah, and that's the question. Is
why can't they?
Government's responsibility to their own people. Every time there's a government that gets toppled, or there's a horrible economic disaster or something, like in Haiti. Haiti's a good example. There's something going on right now, and the Haiti government collapsed because their government stole all this money. They have this deal with Venezuela, where Venezuela loans them oil, and the Haitian government can defer payment for the oil, and they can sell the oil and then make money on it, and then they were supposed to use that for social programs, and the government just stole all the money. So then, when the Venezuelan economy collapsed, they stopped exporting oil.
Oh,
and the fuel prices
apparently,
shot up, and now the Haitian government.
I'm gonna learn who Sneeko is today, I guess too. I've heard he's like a what was the bald guy who has no right to speak on men's issues? I'm sick and tired of these bald people. Fuck, who was it? Shit, the fucking top G motherfucker. I don't remember, but loser anyway. But doesn't matter. Yeah, I heard he's like one of those guys. So
the money on the oil, and so now the economy's in free fall. There's gangs controlling the streets. And now all these refugees are coming to the United States and Central America.
Look at this refugee right here.
Gang. I'm talking about Haiti.
Isn't this person like? I'm sorry. Isn't this person like successful and stuff? Not to throw shade on my own self, but like, this guy has my setup. He's just in his bedroom in a corner. What the hell is this, dude? You have YouTube plaques. What the fuck are you doing? Jesus, get a setup. God, you're gonna talk about men's issues. Talk about anything. You still, fucking bed isn't even made in the background, for fuck's sake. Golly.
Yeah.
Sneeko, welcome to the gang, I guess.
Panel. Yeah.
Not a gang. I'm not in a gang with Nick. I'll take that back.
I'm in a gang with Nick.
You are.
I'm in God's gang with Nick and Ye.
Jesus gang.
I'm glad that you're back.
Yes.
AD will agree with you on that. He's a big God guy.
Oh, definitely.
Top G, thank you.
I'm glad that Sneeko's here because this was all his plan. I think that the whole theme here is basically.
Yeah, I think this dude's like banned, if I remember correctly.
Like a part of acceptable society, and that's what we're trying to hash out today.
He should be, and I think now that Ye's getting canceled and that he.
All right, yeah. This is where we decide, guys, as a nation, as a society, the whatever the fuck No Jumper is. I'm assuming it's like a basketball podcast. I love when like casual like sports like podcasts just kind of dabble in like fashy reactionary politics. I love it.
Just signed with parlays, proving the fact that if you talk about a specific group, that you will automatically be deplatformed. And you saw, if you talk about what happened with Nori, but Nori went on every fucking radio show apologizing.
Wait. Is that how it works? If you talk about Jews, So if I go on Twitter and I say how many positive experience I've had with the Jewish community and Jewish people, and how I really enjoy their what's the word, very tempered nature when it comes to the advocacy for their religion, and the kind of chilled out attitude I generally get from the Jewish people that I've met, I'm gonna get canceled. No, it's it's almost like if you spread, it's almost like if you fucking spread anti-Semitism, that you will get deplatformed. It's almost like if you do that for any group, that's gonna happen.
For someone else's comments, because all Ye said was he's jealous of Jewish power. That's as far as it went. And then even if someone's on your
That's a really nice summation of not at all what he said.
View of what he said. He actually said something like way more aggressive than that.
Yeah, but it was all because of the George Floyd comments.
That too. I think like the Jews stuff almost got pushed to the background in favor of people really trying to cancel him for the George Floyd shit.
What?
Nah, hell nah. No, I think the Jewish stuff was definitely like the prominent issue there, right?
I think they're both issues, but I just felt like I saw a lot more people honing in on the George Floyd shit.
I've never seen anybody, like quote unquote, get mass canceled for being quote unquote racist, right? It turns somebody black right now. I believe that Kanye, especially like this morning with Hot 97, they brought him on to like address like a statement.
Well, yes, yeah. That is true. That is true. Black people do not, especially celebrities, do not get held to the same standard in terms of their racism as other groups. That is incredibly true. And guess what? That's a problem. That we landed on one thing I actually kind of agree with so far.
So like like the quote unquote like Jews, right? Not right, but no, here, look at this though. Again. But the main issue was Kanye was quote unquote anti-Semitic, and he got
because he was
for that. And then Kanye went on Drinks Champ and pretty much doubled down on his takes on Jews, and that's what I think the issue is, bro. And again, like me personally, I don't think that Revolt or or like IG or like YouTube is out here canceling Kanye because he said some racist shit.
Well, we don't know if the Drink Champs interview was removed because of Revolt making the decision or YouTube deciding to remove it. Although if YouTube,
I mean, they probably did because they were like, hey, we don't want to get pushback from advertisers because that's not what you want. Like at the end of the day, YouTube, along with Revolt and every other media like entity, is in the business of making money, not of platforming people for no reason. Like they make money for they make money. If advertisers pull out, then guess what? You're a liability.
YouTube might have said we're gonna remove it if you don't remove it, or Revolt might have just done it on their own accord.
Yeah, it was probably Nori's publicist. His manager called him up.
Private it though.
But Ye was wilding. Ye was talking crazy about the Jewish power. So what you need to do to protect yourself in your bank account right now is delete the video and go on every single radio show and apologize, or else they're going to come after everything and all your money. And so he did that. He said, okay, it's actually not worth it. I don't care what Ye said.
Well, what's funny is they didn't come after his money. They came after his sponsorships. At the end of the day, nobody has a right to like a sponsor. Like Kanye does not have a right to the platform of Adidas. Like, I don't know what this garbage is of like, oh, they're going to come after his money. Well, they're like, what's the word? What did I just say? They're like sponsors. Yes, they get to not be sponsors once like you make it toxic for them to be sponsors. I think that's pretty fair.
I'm sorry, I just want to keep my bank account and I don't want to go on a no-fly list because of something that Ye said.
Well, it is weird if you're Nori and Kanye just start saying like, well, George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose. And I mean, you're not the fucking coroner. Like, what do you know? Like how is Nori supposed to respond to that?
Stick to the science of it though.
Yeah.
They said that he lost his life because of a lack of oxygen.
But does Nori have these facts memorized? Like, that's why it's awkward. And that's why people say that we shouldn't platform people like Nick Fuentes.
He's too smart.
Because they're
Jeez, it's almost like, so this is also the problem when it comes to like treating lies as truth, or at least treating them equally, is that the bar of like, lying about, look at that look. Like lying about the George Floyd stuff is like way easier because you can just say it, you walk away. It can be like factually, like not even tangentially true, but as long as there's like a nugget, there will be people who just latch onto that and they'll be like, no, he died of a fentanyl overdose, even though it's like multiple coroners, everybody agrees that he had fentanyl in his system, but that's not what killed him. But they'll be like, nope. You said fentanyl was in his system. That counts. That means it was. No, it wasn't. You're not a doctor. Shut the fuck up. Multiple doctors have already outpaced you in terms of authority on this one.
just going to say some random shit and we're just going to go along with it. But the more specific accusation about Nick is that he is basically bundling up his white supremacist ideas in this nice sports coat and everything. He acts real cool. Hey, I love black art. Yeah, how's it cool? And that's what I like. That's what people are gonna fucking destroy.
Because he's a fucking coward.
I am not perceived as being aggressive enough towards Nick.
And I seen some shit today, and I said, you know what? I usually don't do my homework and shit like that. I seen some shit today that made me disgusted as an African American.
Well, lay it out there, AD.
All right. So for one, you said you never seen black people jog before. I'm at Arbery. Nah,
you were
it's not
disgusted
funny.
by that?
Well,
white people jogging is a white people activity.
No. But in the sense of Ahmaud Arbery, you know what I'm saying? The way he lost his life because jogging in a neighborhood and in some, you know what they did to him? That's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I'm a black person. I don't look like I jog, but I jog. You know what I mean? Like.
Come on, where do you jog? You jog in the streets?
Nigga,
no,
I don't live in the streets anymore. I moved out the streets, so I jog.
For anybody unaware, Ahmaud Arbery was jogging in a white neighborhood and was gunned down.
In a nice neighborhood
by like racist Southerners. Let's like make that really clear.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the sidewalk. Yeah.
Well, and if you look at the specifics of the case, though, and that's a little bit of old news. So
specifics of the case.
He was jogging a long way from where he lived. He was jogging in boots. You know, you can jog, but usually jog in sneakers.
That's the evidence. The evidence of, hey, he wasn't wearing proper jogging shoes. How did he make it this far? That, like, again, we're going to do this every time, I think. But, master race guys. Remember, Nick Fuentes thinks the superior race. And that was his answer. He's wearing boots, and he's in a different neighborhood. I guess that passes for evidence. Okay.
You jog in gym shoes. You don't jog in boots. And there was a series of break-ins reported in the area too. And he was caught on camera on that construction site. And I remember at the time.
Were the break-ins committed by him? Or like when you say there was a report of break-ins, are you like, again, the idea that there are people who like take this seriously really saddens me.
Matt Walsh from Daily Wire was like, this is just something that guys do. We go in, we climb the fence, we jump in, and we walk around construction sites to say, and it's like, okay, so he's in boots,
free country
from his house, he's jogging, he's on the construction site, there's birds.
Notice the quotations on jogging.
I'll admit, the way they pulled a gun on him.
Like, Nick Fuentes put, like understand, he put jogging in quotations because he doesn't think he was jogging. To this day, Nick Fuentes is like, no, he was obviously trying to stay on those good white people, stop him from stealing from somewhere. Absolutely.
I would probably say that was probably over the line. And, they got charged for that. I would say, is that a first-degree murder? No. What do you call that? I'm not like a lawyer. I don't know what you would call that. But the point is they tried to make it out like this was the new Ku Klux Klan. The most you could say about it is the guys were overzealous about it.
Overzealous and killing the guy.
And I think that, once again,
for technically jogging.
Yeah, right? I mean, you can't argue if all those facts are true of a guy fucking far from home jogging in work boots. That is pretty out of the ordinary. I think that the main issue people had with it was just the amount of force that those guys demonstrated and how comfortable they seemed to be with like basically taking the law into their own hands.
Yeah. Like I said, should they have pulled a gun on him? Like I said, I think that was inappropriate. But they try to expand this because that preceded the George Floyd thing by a few months. They try to turn that into there's a systemic white supremacy problem among the police, and it's like.
Wait, no, that wasn't the argument. Wait, no. Well, actually, that was slightly, mainly because the systemic critique of that was that the police had no interest in questioning these guys' story. Like what happened with Ahmaud Arbery happened, and the police were perfectly fine with leaving the two like racist white like murderers, letting them just go about their days and didn't really do a lot of investigating. It wasn't until video got released and the public got word of it that pressure was put on the police to act. So yes, that would be a systemic critique of the police, but that like the murder is still racist. It's still racist. Like
you draw the line, is this sort of like a bad situation, or does this represent this horrible undercurrent? I think if anything, it's quite the opposite. I think if anything, blacks get treated better than white people.
Hell no. Absolutely. I lived in some of these. I lived in Compton almost my whole life, and the way the police used to treat me and my friends was terrible, bro. And like,
not by the police. I'm talking about by the university. I'm talking about by the media, by the institutions. Sorry to interrupt, but
By the media, by the universities, by all of the institutions that don't lock you up and take your life away. You have it nice, black people. Strong volley from the white supremacist. What is this? What is this? I thought, like, I hear this kid's name like a good amount online, and like this is the strongest arguments he's got. Hey, black people at universities like studying your culture. Hey, black people in the media really like boosting your music and what's the word? Artistic contributions to our American culture. But you get treated really well, except for that whole thing where, like, police forces and the criminal justice system is actively sicked upon you. You get treated really well, except for that one very specific, very life-altering aspect. Jesus.
Nah, I disagree with that as well too. I feel like now we're getting a lot of light shed on things because of social media and people having more voices than they usually have. But before, a lot of shit used to get swept under the rug. Like where I come from, I seen all type of, injustice that people don't even get to talk about. I got a lot of homeboys behind bars.
I mean, it always comes down to, like, all the videos you see, all of this stuff was always happening. You just didn't see it before because we all didn't have, like, video cameras in our pockets.
And everything, they checking my tattoos and stuff like that. I tell them, oh, nothing, whatever it is, what it is. The fucking, I don't know if it's a chief or whoever it was that pulled me over, he just leaves me for like 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? In a bad neighborhood. And when he comes back, he smiles at me and my key is bent. I can't even drive my car. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want me to get hurt when I was just, you know what I'm saying, going to work.
That's your example of he left. Why is the neighborhood bad?
What do you mean?
Who's in the neighborhood?
We have
is that a white neighborhood?
No, it's not a white neighborhood.
He bent the key.
He bent the key.
Oh, I see.
Nick Fuente's like, wait, why was the neighborhood bad? Because there was good black people? Because black people live in the neighborhood, so it must be a bad neighborhood? Oh. That seems like a black people issue. It's not that the police might have left you in a neighborhood that could be dangerous. The problem is that black people create dangerous neighborhoods. That's his argument, I'm assuming.
Oh, I see.
So why do you think where I couldn't start my car? You know what I'm saying?
Why do you think though that I guess blacks are, treated better in this country?
Or why is it so hard to believe that there are racist police officers?
I'm not saying there aren't racist.
It's just the idea that the whole institution is white supremacist is way over the line.
That, yeah.
No.
That's kept to keep people brainwashed and yelling about stupid shit during quarantine so that they focus on non-problems instead of what's really going on.
No, but
Black Lives Matter didn't solve anything, and they told us to focus on this one instance of George Floyd. So maybe Ye was wrong talking about the fentanyl, I'm not sure, but the whole idea of it was that George Floyd was just used as an example to make everybody outraged, and it worked. And we didn't solve anything with it.
No. Okay, this dude's a dumb fuck. Okay, this isn't really that hard. George Floyd was at best a what's the word? Like, George Floyd at best was a lightning rod for the issues of white supremacy in our criminal justice system. The abuse of him was so blatant and so out in the open that it activated Americans, and not only just Americans, but people around the world, to recognize, to kind of like shake them out of their complacency and to notice the injustice put upon black people by our systems. Now, I'm not sure what this guy, I'm not sure what this Sneeko fucking character's whole thing is, or what he thinks are real issues. But usually when I hear people talk about real issues, they usually want to talk about bullshit that, like, isn't really that big of a deal. Usually when I got to hear about real issues, I got to hear about trans stuff, or real issues are LGBT rights or something, or immigration, stuff like that. At the end of the day, the systemic oppression of black people in our criminal justice system is an issue. I don't know anybody who would, I don't know what this guy's background or upbringing is, but it seems like he makes a lot of money pretending that things that are problems aren't problems.
$85 million went nowhere, and the neighborhoods that they were trying to protect are worse now.
Well, that seems like it's true. Yeah.
No, but
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't.
Whoa,
like,
Black Lives Matter, an organization. Well, so this is also I want to point out to everybody. Whenever they say Black Lives Matter, they're conflating the organization with the movement, because an organization, the organization of Black Lives Matter, is, like all organizations, rather flawed. But people did not go out and march in the Black Lives Matter protests because of an organization. They were behind not just the slogan, but also the intent behind and the spirit of that movement. The spirit of the movement is Black Lives Matter. I could give a shit about the actual organization, which people who started it used it to make money and pay themselves, which is bad. It's why you don't support organizations, you support movements.
I'm not by any stretch a person that's going to say because there's cops that are assholes to black people and white people, and I think the cops as an institution.
The only racism he can recognize is racism towards both groups, which isn't racism, it's just being an asshole.
Here's a guy who is dealing drugs. He's got a long rap sheet. He's a burglar.
Who is this?
The guy clearly died from fentanyl. The autopsy report in that county said that he died of a heart attack, and he had all these Autopsy said it was a heart attack.
Is there a disagreement between the autopsy and the coroner?
Yes.
I believe there were 2 autopsies performed. I think there was one that was performed by the county and one that was performed by somebody else. But yeah, there was a dispute about that.
And which one do you think he prefers? Whichever one fits his narrative.
Did find drugs in his system. So, and in any case.
Also, my favorite thing was it's like, okay, if he's doing drugs, why does it matter? So what if he does drugs? Like, what does that have to do with an officer placing his knee on his neck? What does the drugs that he just did have anything to do with that?
Do with the situation of why he got arrested in the first place?
Well, he got arrested because he was trying to pass a counterfeit bill. So he was in the process of
committing
a crime,
$20.
And then he was tweaking out because he was high. And then he was in this unfortunate position where you're
being high, totally illegal.
Some kind of heart attack or some kind of medical episode while you're in the process of an arrest.
Well, if you can't breathe and you're screaming out, "Mommy," you know what I'm saying, and you're saying that you can't breathe, and they keep putting force on him. I mean,
he was saying he couldn't breathe before he was on the ground. He was saying he couldn't breathe before they were trying to get him into the cop car, and he was saying that. And
right, because they were accosting him.
Start in the middle of the story where you got a guy who's like a criminal, you got a guy who's in the process,
who's like a criminal,
and he's high, and people want to start the story where he's on the ground and say, "Oh well."
Now, I'm not super familiar, but I don't believe George Floyd has been convicted of any crimes before. I could be wrong about that, but again, I don't think being high or doing drugs is what's the word? Is I don't know what that has to do with dying from assault by police.
Well, they shouldn't have done this technique or whatever, and it sort of ignores the fact that why do you have so much exposure between the police and black people? It's because black people are committing the majority of the violent crime. That's the real problem. If they
1350,
there's a lot fewer incidences
River.
Of police involved or cop involved shootings with black people or negative situations like that. So that's always the issue.
Is this it? Is this the strong argument?
I'm trying to dissect it because I consider myself a truthful person. So when I listen to what he's saying, it's like I think Nick leads with statistics and facts a lot of time. And that's the problem, is that we're meant to think like people like him are bad and we're supposed to push back. And if you don't push back.
So this is the problem. Let me help you, dipshit. Anybody can list off something like 1350 or even any kind of statistic. All statistics or facts, as they might be, they're only really objective measurements. And without adding any context or an understanding of what any of those stats mean, you're basically just leaving somebody to come up with their own conclusion. You can make the conclusion that black people, the classic 1350 meme, but if you're gonna leave it at that raw statistic, you've just left it open to whoever is hearing it to make their own determination. Which, fun fact, when you make your own determination, or when anybody wants you to kind of, not give you more context, they just want to give you a statistic, give you their reason, and just run away with it. And meanwhile, they're not giving you any context into it. It's going to be very easy for them to pass along pretty obvious racism under the guise of, hey, man, I'm just passing along facts is all. I'm just saying that black people make up 13% of the population but commit 50% of the crime. And then, when somebody comes in and goes, actually, there's quite a bit of context you're leaving out of that, considering most of that is nonviolent crime. So if you want to take that statistic, if you want to take violent crime out of that, then we can lower that percentage. If you also want to talk about River, can you pick a spot and lay down, please? But also, come here. You know what? Okay. You want to keep messing around with stuff? You're going to come up here then. But yeah. If you don't want to add any context to the whole 1350 meme, then it sounds like you're just saying that black people commit crime because black people are criminals. If you're not explaining what those statistics are and how many of them are violent, how many of them are not, how many of those crimes are nonviolent crimes, how many of them are repeat offenders of those same exact crimes, then you find that statistic kind of falls apart the minute you start digging into it. But again, Nick Fuentes is a racist. He only needs that one statistic, and then he can run back and say, nope, it's black people's fault. That's all it needs. That's all it takes.
You are going to get in trouble uploading this video. Part of the reason I got a couple strikes.
I don't give a fuck about the pushback and everything.
No,
like that.
I just want to finish the point. Like, you're supposed to, or else, like, that was part of the reason I was terminated on.
What are you doing, Kat?
Because I was listening to Nick and I was laughing and I wasn't disagreeing. But he could be on Destiny's channel.
Yes, you were platforming him. That's correct.
Or he could be on other people's channel who disagree with him, and they keep you on. And I think that should show. But when I listened to him, and Adam, you called him a white supremacist earlier.
Well, I'm not name calling at all. I'm just trying to get him to be upfront about his.
But you said that. You said that Nick is a white supremacist. I'm curious to what he said specifically that makes you think that.
Well, I did hear leaked audio of you comparing a white woman having sex with a dog to having sex with a black man, and saying that it was basically the same level of degeneracy, and that was like leaked audio. So I felt like that was kind of telling about what you might say behind the scenes.
Yeah, and
maybe that was a joke.
Well, no. I mean, I can explain the.
It's a joke. It's a joke. Oh, God damn. Oh my God. Again, if the United States falls due to dipshits like these two, then we never deserve to be a country to begin with. Because again, this is it. Is this the whole thing? Admittedly, I think we're gonna cut it short because I'm getting a little tired. My head's getting fuzzy. But so far, the strongest argument I've heard so far is it's just a joke, bro. That's what we're working with. Okay. As long as we're all on the same page that we're apparently it's just a joke, bro. Passes as a solid defense. Wow. That is Jesus. I don't even oh, you didn't think that was a joke, man? You just said something completely racist, but what if it was like a joke? It's like, what do you mean, what if it was a joke? What? Like what, are you going to use that for everything? Oh, he said black people are less than are less are of lesser value than white people. Oh man, that's just a joke, right? Like, no. A joke, there's a punchline. There's something more to it. It's not a joke. He's just a racist. That's it. Holy shit, this dude's a dumb fuck.
Well, hang on, I can explain the context of that, and the thing is, I'm going to answer that, but first I want to say the better question is, because I saw your stream yesterday, full disclosure, Adam, on Twitch, where you went to the SPLC, which is an advocacy group.
And I will acknowledge that the SPLC has deemed a lot of people and different podcasts that I enjoy basically hate groups, so I don't put a lot of faith in
right, so this guy's kind of alt-right a bit.
I'm not saying that I deem them a respectable organization.
Well, and that's fair enough, but I'm saying
I always love the people who blame the referees and just do this is their entire industry is where they study these people and everything else. But I don't really think they're completely up to it. Okay, River, can you go in the window or not go in the window, please? Okay, keep going. I believe in you, Kat. Okay, there you go.
And this is the question that should be asked about that. They're advocates. That's an advocacy group. And
right.
They're paid to mine. I've been doing streaming for 6 years. I produce thousands and thousands of hours of content. They're paid to mine.
True.
10 or 15 worst things, 10 seconds. Let me ask
True.
You don't know the circumstances surrounding that clip, but it was provided there for you in a 10
True.
second bite for you to get a certain impression of me.
Whine more.
And that clip is from 5 or 6 years ago. I know you might say, well, it doesn't matter how old it is because the content is so offensive.
Whine more.
But it sort of begs a certain question, which is, why does this exist? Who's paying for this?
Wait, is he complaining because people clip him? Sorry. Welcome to the world.
To what end? Why is the SPLC? Because at the time, I'm an 18-year-old kid. The circumstances about that is I was at a job training, and it was like 3 a.m. It's late at night.
Not a minor.
Thing, and I was saying that I'm against race mixing. I think that people should marry their own kind. I want a white wife. That's a value that I have. My race matters to me. My identity matters to me.
Weird.
I want my kids to look like me. I want my grandkids to look like me. I
Fucking
think that's a
weird.
positive value that I think other people should share.
I would love to hear what the positive value of that is. I would actually, because he didn't say, it's not like he said like, I want biological like ties to people in my family. He said, I want my grandkids to look like me. Understand how kind of weird and narcissistic that is.
As well. I don't judge people that are mixed race. I mean, some people say I'm mixed race. My dad's half Mexican. My mom's Italian. Some people would say that's mixed race.
What the fuck?
People that are mixed race or people that race mix, but it's just not.
What? How the fuck? How the fuck did an Italian and Mexican mixed kid become the like lead? So okay, so he's like an op, right? Like, there's no way he's not like homeboy who was leader of the Proud Boys. There's like no way he's not, right? Like, he's definitely like an inside man. Like, right? Like, there's no way he's not. There's almost no chance he's not.
So I was explaining that, and this girl picks up her phone because I'm saying something that's contrary, because you can't.
Because it's fucking wild.
Even though everybody was, and every race other than whites still is.
Even black people say that all the time. I want to have black kids. I want to raise a black family.
No.
I'm black and proud. If black people say that, nobody blinks an eye. But when Nick,
Yeah, that's bad. Dumbass. All of that is bad. What is this argument? Like, hey, black people sometimes are racist, so white people should get to sometimes be racist. How about this? Fun thought. Fun exercise. How about none of us be racist? I know. Crazy.
says it, people are automatically assuming that it's something racist.
No,
and I think
it
in that
is.
context, I think that
Both of those situations are.
Record any white kids Call of Duty lobby when they're 18 years old, or you record anybody at 3 a.m. when they're not. I made jokes like that. I make jokes about every single race. It doesn't mean that you're a racist person, but nowadays you have to be very careful at any moment because you never know when someone's going to record it.
Well, wait, but
Do we all have podcasts that we opine on our political views on, like once a day or so, however many times Nick streams?
So the point is, I'm saying, like, so that's
also, I love the idea that this dude's like, what, man? People say like racist, like bigoted shit on Call of Duty all the time, and it's like, right? It's kind of the problem.
the part that wasn't recorded is I'm saying I'm against race mixing. Well, she sees me saying something that you're not supposed to say and says, I'm going to cancel this guy. So she gets her phone out,
fucking
starts
right,
recording and says, hey, Nick, so do you think that having sex with a black guy is the same as having sex with a dog? So I didn't say that. Those were not my words. I was saying I'm against race
only
mixing.
like
She
agreed
gets
with
the phone
them.
out and frames it that way. And I said, no. And Adam, you saw the clip. I said, no, it's not the same. I said, but they both be degenerate. I said, they both be wrong. And then the same way that I would say, yeah, incest is wrong. Is incest the same as bestiality? No. Is rape the same as bestiality? You know, these are all things which I would consider wrong. Yeah, but
I find it really interesting because I feel like that's what Matt Walsh was like trying to kind of pass along as his views, is this weird like, oh, we really need to like figure out different things that are like degenerate but not rape, and not like this. Guys are very concerned with redefining what rape is.
But Nico just hops on board and is basically like, oh yeah, it's fucked up.
I heard him explain this whole thing before.
But you think race mixing is bad?
I don't think race mixing is bad, but I respect his opinion to think that he wants to further the white race and have white kids. See, I'm not going to judge what he wants to do.
Wait. Wasn't this guy just complaining that black people do that too? Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't this dipshit already arguing that black people do it? That's not good. Like, his main argument was like, well, black people do it and it's okay. And it's like, right, it's not. It's not. Not okay when anybody does it. Like, fucking...
Just be with other white people. I would have thought that would be a super controversial statement, but it's hard for me to really take it that controversially when we've had people like Tariq Nasheed on here who clearly says the same thing about black people. Kevin Samuels basically said the same thing about black people.
People say that all the time. That's the problem wasn't that.
White people don't say that. White people are not allowed to say that.
He just said
right.
Well, that's why he's canceled. He's on a no-fly list.
It's
But
just
that's
hard
what
for
I'm
me to
saying.
really take issue with him saying that when I feel like there's so many.
So, okay. God, fucking jocks. So this is what happens, River. No. This is what happens when a bunch of dumbass jocks sit in a room and are shown numbers for the first time in their life after like 4 years of having their fucking brains scrambled like eggs in a goddamn fucking sport or something. So let's be really clear. Ethnostates, bad. Anti-race mixing, bad. It's bad when black people do it. It's bad when white people do it. It's bad when Spanish people do it. It's bad when Latinos do it. It's bad when Asians do it. It's fucking bad. Choosing, or actually I shouldn't even say choosing. The institutional encouragement of race supremacist pairing of people is bad. It's not good to force people to marry people simply based off the fact that they're of the same race. It's bad. It's bad when everybody does it. So I don't know what the fuck this is, where it's like, well, I guess we were okay with it when we were dumb fucks and let black people get away with it. But, now, I guess now we got to let the white people be all racist and shit. No. All y'all, stop this shit. It's fucking toxic. Stop it. Fucking Jesus Christ.
People of other races who basically say the same thing publicly and aren't really like held in any kind of negative light for it.
I think that's why Nick was saying that it's easier to be a minority nowadays. I think when he talks about that, he's talking about freedom of speech. I think I'm a protected class, being Asian, black, and white. I'm able to talk about a lot of things and make jokes that Nick is not capable of. But even then, you can still toe the line and get canceled, as we've both been terminated.
Right.
Yeah, I still haven't seen you. I disagree. I've heard.
I'm really sad he hasn't been terminated the real way. He still has a Twitter, doesn't he? Needs you to get like fucking nuked off of like all of it. Twitter, TikTok, all of it.
Destiny, bring up that same instance. I'm curious. So, like, what do you think Nick has said? He's a white supremacist. Besides that,
What about the black people hands should be cut off at the airport?
My favorite is like, tell me what you think Nick has said that makes you think he's a white supremacist. Oh, he says like anti race mixing stuff. Well, didn't you know that like black people also say that? Oh, I guess he's not racist anymore? Is that how that works? Because somebody else said something racist from a group that you prefer, suddenly the thing that the original person said can't be racist? Is that how that works?
No. Well, I don't mean that.
Like what? How, in what context?
Well, it was part of a joke.
My man thinks every time it's a joke. Every time it's a meme. I'm Nick Fuentes. I'm a fucking coward.
Gay men, or well, it's not just gay men. It says that men can wear the girls' flight attendant uniform and the girls can wear the male flight attendant uniform. And I said, you look at these videos from World Star or whatever on social media of black people fighting on planes, and
Nick Fuentes is definitely the type of person that like their homepage is World Star Hip Hop.
And I don't know. I mean, you're going to pretend this doesn't exist.
Nick Fuentes every day probably goes to World Star and just watches like uber masculine black men fight each other while he like sobs into a fucking like napkin or something and wishes he could be half the men that those guys are.
Exist like these videos of black people fighting everywhere at Disney World, at the airport, at restaurants. What's that?
Everybody fights everywhere.
Not like that. Not.
I just seen a white nigga hit somebody, bam, in the back of the head on a plane.
Yeah, come on, Nick.
It happens.
Yeah, it's not to say that. It's not to say that black people are.
Yeah, the only difference is there's like a curated website for like that specific topic, Nick. Go to like a white people fighting in public subreddit. But fun fact, he probably doesn't want to do that. He's probably like, well, I don't know about all that.
Well, everybody fights everywhere.
So you're into. I mean, listen,
it's not no denial. It's the truth.
It is denial. It is denial. To
So
say that that's not like
so
a
you're
black
saying only
phenomenon.
black people fight at Disneyland and fight in airports and airlines.
I'm saying that
You
when
a
I go on
statistics
social,
guy, you with the truth. Not what you see on social media. Where's the facts? I can show you videos right now where white people, black people, Mexican people, Asian people, everybody.
He's got a point to ask him about the facts because Nick wants to bring the stats when like he's not going to explain any of them and just kind of mention them. But then when he wants to make like an allusion to something, he won't even bother bringing any statistics or literally anything. He'll just kind of vaguely gesture at stuff.
Just saying, what I see on social media,
single out
it happens more with black people. It happens way more with black people.
See, John,
guys, I've seen more videos of it. It totally happens more. Black people fight more than white people fight. I've never been to Florida.
I came up to the same conclusion before I even knew Nick, when they were talking about the Stop Asian Hate Crimes in New York City. And then I talked to every single Asian person, and like I went to these protests and it made me really upset. I watched all the videos.
He talked to every single Asian person.
Because it's a protected class, you don't want to come off racist. And so they lumped it in, and they used the crime statistics, which is hate crime. And hate crime is anything. If you say the word, use a racial slur against an Asian person, that's a hate crime.
Yep.
The Stop Asian Hate Attacks was like when an old Asian lady gets pushed over into the train tracks, or an old Asian lady gets punched in the head 40 times. And if you look at what race is doing that, it was black people. And the reason, whatever justification you want to make for it, overall in New York City, there's more bums, there's more homeless people, there's more poor people that are black.
There's more of literally everything, you dumb fuck. Holy shit, this guy is fucking stupid. Has he like never heard a fucking argument? Jesus.
Other races. And so that's why poor people commit crimes.
He's like, whoa, I've seen like way more like crimes happen in New York City than I have in fucking Poughkeepsie. And it's like, oh, really? Could it possibly be that there are millions of people squeezed into New York City? Could it possibly be that crime is more like you want to take a per capita approach to crime? Because the opposite is kind of obvious. No shit, more crime is going to be committed where there's more people. Like, Jesus.
More often.
What's the opposite of galaxy brain? Is it like what's the opposite of galaxy brain? This is the dumbest fucking take I've ever heard.
We're 14% of the population, and we're responsible for 50% of the violent crimes. So he's not wrong. Like, we commit violent crimes more than any other race. But I guess where AD point is simply just fighting at Disney World or at an airport. How do you just attribute that to black people?
Well, and this is where tone matters. When I say I want to chop people's hands off, what I said was, you think about airplanes and airport security and it's TSA and everything because of what, Al-Qaeda, 9/11. I said, well, and this is explaining the joke, kind of defeats the point of it, but I said, well, I'd rather have the Taliban run the airlines and cut off the hands of all the black people fighting on the airplanes and put the flight attendants in burqas than have what we have now, the current TSA regime, where you're going to have black people fighting on the plane and then a male flight attendant in high heels is going to go run and break it up. It wasn't an assertion of fact of like, well, we looked at the data and black people are fighting on airplanes more than anybody, although I presume that's true. I haven't done the research, but I presume that's true. And so that's a joke. And the point is, AD, and I'm a little bit disappointed, if you can't say, like, you know what I'm talking about, if you're gonna take umbrage at the fact that I say black people are fighting at the airport in Disneyland and say, well, white people fight too, like, you don't know what I'm talking about, that's just like either dishonest or delusional. I mean, I'm just telling it to you straight up.
Yeah, man, it's delusional. White people don't fight each other. Ever. It's never happened. It never showed up on WorldStar. There's not a website for it. River. What are you doing? Go over there. Like,
to say that makes me a racist because I have fucking balls.
Oh, I didn't call you anything. I'm just saying it's wrong.
But you said it was white supremacists. Both the instances that you guys brought up were kind of jokes.
I didn't hear white supremacists come out of my mouth.
No, that was a question. My question was, can you name something that makes Nick a white supremacist? And both of you brought up jokes that out of context in the way you're
both of you
sounds
brought up
bad,
jokes.
As
per usual, any evidence you bring up, nope, it's a joke, bro. It's just a joke. Everything's a joke. My life's a joke. My room's a joke.
Now you take things out of context.
My fucking haircut's a joke.
I believe that 100%. You're right.
Right. So, and I think that kind of proves what you just brought up. But like, what belief has Nick said that makes you think that he's a racist or a white supremacist?
So also this dude keeps like moving. This dude keeps trying to do like hey, have you like psychically entered Nick's mind to see the inner workings of it, to tell me that you got to the center of his brain and you found just a little tiny Hitler in there? Like, no, dude. Like, you reveal your racism through not just the jokes that you propagate, but the rhetoric that you actively push. Like, please stop being this fucking stupid. I don't think he's capable. Either that or, honestly, quite frankly, he's probably already been embraced by the right wing and understands that this is who he needs to defend, and people like this is who he needs to defend to make money and to regain a platform.
Like, again, I may be, severely misinformed. Isn't a white supremacist just like somebody who thinks that white folks are supreme, right?
Yeah.
to other races. Well, Nick, like, don't you think that white folks are supreme?
No, and I answered that earlier.
No, not at all.
The thing is about
fucking coward, dude.
Supremacy is it has to be a materialist worldview. You can, in my opinion, well, actually, that's not totally true. But as far as
actually, I'm going to undermine my own opinion.
You really have to not believe in the soul and believe in God to be a white supremacist. You can't be a Christian. You can't be, which is what most religious white people are. You can't be a Christian and say that white people are better than other people, because Christianity is a universal religion. It says in the Bible, that neither a Gentile nor Jew. Now, people take that to mean like, oh, that means everybody's equal.
Isn't this guy also anti-Semitic?
All the time or something, but it means that we're all Christian. We all have a brotherhood in Christ, and we are all equal before God in terms of our soul.
Sure.
To say that white
Magic.
people's race are better than other people, it's like, well, in what sense? Then you'd have to measure it out and attribute supreme value to a particular thing and say, well, if white people are better at something than another group of people, that makes them better as a holistic thing. And that, again, that you have to be non-religious to view it that way. So white supremacy is incompatible with being a Christian, and I'm Catholic. I am Christian.
Is this the master race?
What do you think that white folks are better at, than I guess any other race?
Better than any other race? Well,
how many of these things do you think are going to be like all of the what's the word, like civilization building? He's basically going to give himself credit for everything that is good, and black people fight in airports.
I would say that every race has their strength. I would say that white people are very good at literature and architecture and philosophy and
building, writing, reading, thinking.
Basically everything.
Well,
no, he didn't talk about dance. He didn't talk about culture. He didn't talk about art. He didn't talk about creativity. He talked about
whoa. What's literature, dumb fuck? Like, art. I'm sorry. What's architecture? What's philosophy? Dude, this dude. Oh my God, this dude. Jesus Christ.
Pattern recognition.
So you think that the soul of a black person is to be like a great artist or dancer or what?
Basketball player, football
Well,
player?
no, now you're talking about soul. I think that, black people are great athletes and they're great artists. And that's not to say that black people can't be other things or do other things. We're talking about the strengths.
In general. And yeah, I see that this is, I think I just saw the...
In general.
We asked AD, and your name is Josh?
No, that's Flacco. But you can call him Josh.
Well, if we ask, Flacco and AD, if we ask you, like, what do you think black people are better at than white people? You would both say dancing, music, basketball, and probably make fun of white people for being awkward. And nobody would get mad. Nobody would get mad at that. Everybody would accept that as a universal truth. That in general, black people are better at music. And
what's funny is he's using the example of things that people colloquially attribute to black people and then say they're universal truths, guys. It's like, are they universal truths? Because to be a universal truth, there's quite a high bar to pass on that. A universal truth is like, we were better at music. I'm pretty sure he did. I'm actually not sure. Also, how's it going, CFC?
And then Nick says an honest answer. Better at innovation, better at architecture.
Oh yeah, this entire thing is going to be yikesy.
Can't do it, right? See, you get offended when Nick is truthful about the white race, but you can be truthful about other races and then nobody blinks an eye.
Well, yeah, mostly because all the things Nick says, like this, Jesus Christ. So the main thing is that all of the stereotypes that he just named that he thinks that they're going to say as positive traits are white supremacist propaganda. Like, even though they might embrace like, hey, we as black people are actually might be a bit more superior when it comes to sports and athleticism, not realizing that you've already bought in to the white supremacist talking point and standard that black people are good at being entertainers, and that their place in society is to entertain the thoughtful literature, the literature writing, the architecture, the builders, the all the rest of the stuff that white people get to do. And if you notice, all of the things that they describe black people as doing have nothing to do with ownership, have nothing to do, they're all just these ephemeral creative things that they will never have ownership in our society over. So it's always very interesting when it comes to these white supremacist guys. They seem to always give credit and they seem to always give ownership rights in terms of like who's better at doing what to the their own white group.
Question though, right? So, oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No. So like when like Nick says that white folks are better at like innovation, like what did that mean?
Well, here's a good
innovation. The innovation, like, what the fuck is innovation? What, like, fucking you went from stone? What the fuck?
If you look at IQ, we talked about IQ earlier. Asians actually outperform whites dramatically.
Absolutely correct. All black.
On IQ tests and on math tests, and if you look at some of these tests, standardized tests before university. So if you were to say strictly by IQ and by certain tests, you would say,
yes, IQ.
Now, would you call me that? Because I say that, would you call me an Asian supremacist? Would you say that I think that Asians are better than everybody? Because
no, like, God, the reason why the Asian stereotype of being good at math and everything else is because Asians were used as like, you are used as like fucking what is it, the model minority to like measure other minorities against and degrade other people. They're literally a tool to like racist and white supremacists. And like the unfortunate fact is like this, how many views does this video get? This video got like this video got 362,000 views. This channel has 4.47 million subscribers, which means there are going to be people who see this, and these guys unfortunately have no fucking idea about any of the context when it comes to like the model minority or any of this shit. Like they will simply get demolished by the, well, I don't know, it just seems like you guys like when black people be mildly racist, but you don't like them when white people. And it's like, just criticize both, and it's really fucking easy. They're both bad.
Have a higher IQ in terms of this metric. When I say whites are more innovative,
I'm really sorry to hear that, CFC.
Exposed to being good at math. I know that's a stereotype, but it's based on fact.
I don't even know really what to. I don't even know how you address that, honestly. Like if you're like, if there's like somebody in your household that's like watching Nick Fuentes, like what do you even do? Like I feel like at best you could be like, hey, go watch like this or that streamer, but like, you know, or like maybe you introduce them, but they've already been like conditioned to have like a, what's the word, like a defensive stance against that. So yeah, good luck. I pray for you, my friend. I pray for you. That's a tough one.
They're not as innovative, and that has a lot to do with their culture. That has a lot to do with their history, and of course, history and culture are in fact bound up with genetics. Behavior is bound up with genetics. You know, we say things like the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. What does that mean?
That's just a saying, you dipshit.
Oh
my God.
Is that nature? Is that nurture? It has a great deal to do with nature, more so than many people care to admit. And the point is, so Asians, although you could say in one sense they're smarter, you said better than other groups, they're maybe not as innovative. That's why they steal American technology. That's why they struggle to do a lot of things the Americans do. And so the point is, and I get back to the previous point, all human beings, I believe, have.
He is really smug. I just find him really dweeby. I just want to throw him into a locker. That's all I really want. Like, you put me in the same room as this kid, I'll fucking, like, spawn, like, a locker from my high school, like, from the ground. Just fucking summon it like a fucking, like, Yu-Gi-Oh monster. And just, that's it. Get the fuck in there.
Inherent dignity, and they have a soul, and they have a brotherhood, and universality, and equality before God. But that does not change the fact that there are inequalities between peoples and groups on various different things. But would you say that because blacks are better athletes that they're better, they're the best race? Would you say that because Asians are the best at math that they're the best race? Or because, you know, whites have the finest literature that they're the best? You know, who's to say? Those are all material.
God, the thing that's Weasley about it too is he just like does this, and it's like, I mean, you know, I'm not saying any of this stuff, I'm just like stating a couple of these like little things, and it's like, dude, oh my God, like, be a dweeb, but at least have some goddamn like respect for yourself. Just say it. Just say the thing you're thinking instead instead he does all this dancing on like, oh well, let's like kind of try to equalize this, give everybody like a nice trait, and then somehow the white people will end up at the top, and I'll be king of the incel white boys, which I'm like, what the fuck? I can't also help but wonder, like, this kid's like the leader of some like group, and I'm like, you're like an incel, dude. What the fuck are you doing, like leading other boys down the path of like what? Being fucking miserable. They're just a misery cult.
Material things, those are all based on material conditions. If you have a religious view, then we're not just material, we have souls, and so we should be afforded rights and respect and dignity based on the fact that we're all human beings.
And I will say though that conversation, it is very weird that that's not a conversation that's really allowed to be had in public. And obviously somebody like Nick, who's been characterized the way that he has been publicly, him having that conversation, a lot of people are going to reject it or whatever, but like a lot of people have had their careers basically dismantled for just having the nerve to have the conversation about the correlation between race and IQ.
Yeah, man.
Oh no.
You're gonna just deal with Bitcoin now or what?
Oh no.
Yeah, I basically just do Bitcoin. I mean, the thing is, I've had
oh no.
they just keep getting banned.
Okay. We're gonna stop here because okay. My time is almost up and I am still feeling sick. So we're gonna pick this up. I think. What am I at? I'm at like the 30. Oh, I'll just save this. What am I doing? I don't know why I'm pretending like I can't just save it. Or can I? Can I save this? Download. Thanks. Can I? Hello? Where's my save to watch later? The fuck? What's going on? That's weird. I don't know why. No, I don't want to give this a thumbs up. Are you crazy? Oh, I don't want to clip. I don't need to clip anything. The fuck? Do I need to? I'm so confused. Where is the little thing that's like save to watch later? What is going on, YouTube? Okay, doesn't matter. I'll figure this out after I close everything out. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go take some medicine after this, and hopefully be a little bit more uppity tomorrow. Hopefully, I feel like I have work on Wednesday. I'm really hoping. There's a deep part of me that kind of hopes that I'm not feeling well Wednesday and I can just call out, but I think by Wednesday I'll probably be fine if I take some medicine over the next 2 days. But either way, yeah, next time we're about halfway done with this, so we'll finish this next time. I am interested to hear the rest of this conversation as much as I find it to be interesting in its opinions, but either way, you all have a nice night. You've been great. I've been a little bit sick, so let's all have ourselves a lovely rest of our night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye for now.